alleged thugs were housed in a hotel called Daily Bread Hotel.
Okay, so hang on. Walk us through what happened. And in the videos that you sent, we're seeing some young men standing by what I believe is the hotel you are referring to, and the people are alleging that there are some people who have been smuggled in there, as in people who don't vote, typically vote in this area, and they have been brought in there.
They are not residents of Sum. They are not residents of Sum.
But were they voting? Did they find them voting?
They weren't voting.
Okay, so the concerns the youth group is raising is what?
Yes, so it was the youth who fished this tax out.
No, what the youth group, and I just want to distinguish the facts very clearly. This is a youth group. They have found another.
They aren't a youth group. They are residents.
Oh, residents.
They are residents.
And they are alleging that they have found some people in the community who they believe do not belong there.
Yes, please.
But the people were not found at the polling station.
Yes, please. They were found at a hotel.
All right. And so they have given them to the police.
That it is the MPP parliamentary candidate.
Okay, that's their allegation. We need the police to confirm that for us.
Yes, I went to his house on twice occasions to get his side of the story. But I was told he has gone on monitoring situation.
Okay, so that's okay. What is the police saying about this? Do they have these people in their custody?
Yes, currently the police are interrogating these people one after the other.
Okay. Has the police spoken to you?
I myself have witnessed them going through the interrogation room.
Okay. Has the police spoken to you? Have they said anything to you?
Yes, the commander has spoken to me, but he has told me to wait.
Okay.
There are people currently with him, so he has assured me that he's going to talk to me.
Very well. So we'll hang on and get what the police will say about these people, who they are. So the story is, and I just want to clear it out, is this is happening in the eastern region. Story is that some people have been found in a hotel. The community, the people who, I beg your pardon, the residents in the community are raising concerns about these people. They say they don't know them. But these people were not found at a polling station. The people have handed over these men or whoever they are to the police, and the police is interrogating them, trying to find out what their mission is vis-a-vis what the allegations those who found them are making. All right, so that's just by the way of information that has come through from this from the eastern region. We'll get more from the police, and we'll tell you what the police says on that particular one. So, Doc, back to the point you were making.
So, I think, should I speak to the swing?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So, I was making a point that we have swing regions and we have swing voters. Under normal circumstance, a swing region is a region that do not always vote for one specific political party in elections. And we know that swing voters make up a swing region.
Yes.
But in our dynamic, when we analyze swing voters, we usually focus on one specific dynamic of the swing voter when there are actually more than one. Well, we assume that a person who is undecided, that he doesn't belong to a specific political party and still not decided which political party to vote for, is known as a swing voter. Okay. So we assume that those are independent people. Okay. So because he's still not...
them out? If we put them in a cluster and say this is a swing region or constituency.
So one, we assume that because maybe in that region there are a lot of people who don't belong to a political party, and because of that they are independent. And because they are independent, they may decide to vote for a specific political party. So that, for that matter, the vote in that region may swing. Okay. That's the general assumption. But there are also tendency that core party supporters can also swing.
Okay, so they swing from one political party to the other.
I have been voting maybe HYZ, for example, as a... Let's go in.
So I need to jump in again, but I was just trying to get him to wrap up this point that we've been trying to make this point, and every time we had to jump in there, but that's okay. Now, this is a very serious information coming through, by the way. Voting has been suspended at Asawase in the Ashanti region as a man found by an EC officer in an attempt to drop thumb-printed ballots is arrested. Let's get more. Erastus Asaridonko is on the ground. Erastus, first of all, we established that Asawase has been a stronghold of the NDC. tell us about what just happened.
Well, so about 3 things have been happening within the last 30 minutes here in the Aswanse constituency. Just about 10 minutes ago, a young man in about his mid-ages, he's all known as Aminu, was arrested and by the youth who belonged to the Muntaka camp, and he was brought to the office of the MP, and the airport police has picked him up as we speak about 10 minutes ago. He was holding a number of voter ID cards, and those who arrested him are indicating that he was giving 100 cedis allegedly to people and collecting their cards. So when you vote for the MPP, he gives you the money and then he gives you your card. And that's how come they arrested him, handed him over to the airport police. But just some few minutes ago, we came here to where we are standing now is the new Zongo, Babalate to be precise. And voting has been suspended for close to 20 minutes now. And it's just about some 5 minutes ago that you can see the Electoral Commission trying to bring its items back and trying to restart voting at the moment. And it's all because a gentleman who has been whisked away by the police attempted to drop a number of thumb-printed ballot papers into one of these ballot boxes here. And this has been confirmed by the presiding officer of the EC at this particular polling station. And he told me that he spotted him trying to put some ballot papers inside the ballot boxes. And so he went over there, and just as he was about to drop the ballot papers, he held his hand, and they came over, invited the police. They saw a number of ballot papers he had stashed in his pocket, trying to load them into the ballot box, and he has since been whisked away. So it threw the whole place into a sort of confusion where voting was suspended for some time. It's about now that they are trying to bring it back into session. Let me try to have a word with him. Boss, just a brief moment. Tell me what happened here.
Boss, please. As I said, I'm busy, please.
Well, he confirmed to me a short while ago, but currently he says he's busy sorting out the booklets to start voting again, and so he cannot speak to us. But he has confirmed to me on tape that indeed he was prompted that the boy had a number of ballot papers in his hands. He did not believe them, and then a short while ago he saw that he was trying to, aside what he had thumb-printed and voting, he wanted to push other ones inside the ballot box, and so he went over, grabbed his hand, and when they searched him, they found a number of ballot papers, and they have since been sent as exhibit. There is a police reinforcement here at the moment, and he himself has been whisked away. Quite a number of security officials have been brought in here to beef up security to prevent such occurrence and to allow normal voting to continue here at New Zongo Baba Latte. So that is what has happened here in about 20 minutes ago, which has suspended voting for some time now.
Just want to find out, how long was the process suspended for?
Well, it threw the whole place into a sort of confusion where people wanted to subject the gentleman to some beating, and so a number of people flooded the whole barricaded area, and so they could not continue the voting. They had to pack the ballot boxes, put them aside, and then pack the other items and put them aside for safety, and call reinforcement for security so they can reorganize themselves. And so that's how come voting was suspended. But as we speak, they have brought the items back. They are trying to get voting started again. Gifty.
Right, Erastus, thank you. I just wanted to find out whether this is going to affect the process in any way. We have barely 1 hour to go right now. It's 4:15 by my time here. So I wanted to find out if the EC official there who spoke to you was able to confirm whether there will be, some addition to the time because the process was suspended. Did he say anything like that? Did I lose you, Erastus?
Urging the EC to start voting in earnest again, and the EC has brought the ballot boxes back, and you can see the voting booths set up again, and so they are about to start. But yes, there are people in queue over there, and so definitely it's going to delay the process. It has delayed the process for about 30 minutes now, and it's possible that it will affect people's chances of voting, or it will extend voting, because when it's 5 p.m. and there are people still in the queue, they will need to continue voting until every last of them is done, until they can stop the voting. And so it could extend the voting time, and it could affect those who are yet to join the queue if this delays for more time. But the EC has reorganized itself. Voting has started again. You can see that people are coming in, checking their names, and going over to the table to get their ballot papers for voting to start. So it affected it for about 30 minutes now, but voting has started again here at Babalati, New Zongo, Aswanse constituency.
Thank you, Erastus. We'll come back to you to figure out, especially when the polls end, to find out how it went there. But Doc, this is certainly going to, like Erastus said, drag the time. So even if you end the queue, you still have to register all the people in that particular queue. This is Asawasi. I mean, it has a long history that we can go on and on about. There has been the push and pull factor. This is a constituency, the stronghold of an opposition party in. So let's see. This is the stronghold of the NPP. It happens to have I'm talking about the
region, yes,
in which you have a political party, an opposing political party's stronghold in a constituency. Some of these things would be expected, but it's going to certainly bring a lot more attention right now. What has just happened?
I think the MPP has tried several major elections to win back the Asawasi seat, and they haven't hidden the intention of making the entire Ashanti region, all the parliamentary seats goes to the MPP, and it is an ambition that every political party will want to have. But I believe the word is vigilance. The key word here is vigilance, especially as we tread cautiously to the end of voting time. A lot of these things will start coming up to the point that we'll start counting. The key word should be vigilance. One, this could be stated by two things. It could be a deliberate attempt to actually stuff the ballot to give his preferred, I don't know whether it's he or she.
It's a he.
His preferred candidate an advantage over the other. It could also be a deliberate attempt to stall the voting process, because you know that at this particular point in time, with the number of people who are there, it will be very difficult for you to be able to do that. So it could just be that, no, my intention is not to stuff the ballot and give my candidate an advantage. My intention is to delay the voter process so that people who already want to join the queue will go back and wouldn't vote, or it will drag the processes of voting and counting. To a point where maybe people are able to do what they want to do. I'm more inclined to believe that it is the latter. It is deliberately done to delay the process and to maybe make people get dissatisfied or who are impatient to go back and wouldn't vote, or to make the counting process very long. If this actually happens, I know once you are in the queue up to before it's 5 o'clock, you must be allowed to vote before counting is done. But this kind of isolated cases also have a broader picture on how we collate regional level results, how we collate maybe regional level results, national level results, and the eventual declaration of the winner.
Especially when the EC has told us that they will be able to do this within record time.
This were the unknown unknowns that people thought the EC should have factored in making that statement, because once this is a human institution and a human act, and there are a lot of things you cannot control. There are a lot of variables. Yes, it's always good to set targets, and they say it was a target, and bearing any unknown circumstances, they'll be able to declare the results as early as possible. But some of these things will go a long way to defeat that particular ambition, but also to create, and once the declaration of the results delays, it creates more anxiety, which we don't want to happen. So I think they should make sure that everybody who was in the queue before 5, as the law states, are allowed to vote. And people who have not already joined the queue should not be discouraged by this. They should join the queue and make time to vote.
Okay, so we're just talking about the Asawase constituency, where voting was suspended briefly because a gentleman tried to stuff ballot papers, ballot sheets in a ballot box. So he's been arrested, we understand, and there's the security presence there has been beefed up. This is your election headquarters. We're talking about who gets that 8 million plus votes that gives that person the upper hand to become president of Ghana. We've told you about how the voting process has gone by. The president has voted, his main contender has voted as well, their spouses have voted. We've been in the regions across. I'm going to take you to our other studio, the 997 studio, but I just want to quickly let you know who I'm doing this with. Dr. Ali Dusaido is a political scientist. Benjamin Akakbu is my colleague, and Raymond Monakwa, they are on the other side. I will be crossing over to them. But in this particular election, we know that we're looking at over 33,000 polling stations. We have very interesting dynamics. I mean, number of people that we haven't really seen on our ballot sheets. I mean, it doesn't even compare to what happened in 1979. So very interesting dynamics there. Ewutu Senya East and Ewutu Senya West have come up strongly for discussion because there was a shooting incident in the Ewutu Senya West. East, I should say, and then a ballot sheet issue in the Ewutu Senya West, which Kudeo has also spoken about. Ivor Greenstreet, who is the flag bearer for the CPP, is voting. Take a look.
There's still quite a number of people who appear not to have come out to vote. I hope that will not lead to too much of a surge later in the day. But apart from a few incidents that we've heard of, which I'm sure you're also aware of, I think generally speaking, we are satisfied with the process thus far.
Even though you are contesting as a presidential candidate, also West is a place you know very well. You've contested as a parliamentary candidate here. What do you think will be your performance across the country, and especially in Ayahuasca West?
Well, I think much of our work has been in strategic areas around the country. So we haven't necessarily focused on Ayahuasca West, which, as you know, has been held by the NPP for quite a period of time. So we are waiting to see the minds and the hearts of Ghanaians as to what they hope to do today. And we wish all of them well. It's democracy, and we respect their choice and the will of the people.
Reports suggest that the polls have been peaceful to a large extent. What would be your advice to Ghanaians as we draw near to the end of polls, and also to when counting is being done, collation and declaration?
Well, that whilst remaining vigilant, we should all remain vigilant in a peaceful manner, and that we don't want any incidents to take place anywhere across the country. As the main focus, it's only an election. It's a democratic process, and everybody should exercise their vote peacefully. And we know that it is God who decides who leaders are. And in the next few days, we will know who has been appointed to continue, or a new person to come and rule the affairs of this nation.
Finally, will we witness an electric shock in this election?
Well, I don't know whether others will get the electric shock, or whether I will be the recipient of a reverse current electric shock. Who knows? At the end of the day, we will know.
That's Ivor Green Street. He actually voted earlier on, so that's a feed that I brought through. We'll take you to social media and find out what you've been tweeting and talking about. But Dr. Alidu Seidu, you listen to Ivor Green Street right there. You look at the trend of his voting, his campaign pattern, and you realize that in 2020, he's changed.
I think he was one of those candidates who were speaking to the issues and sticking to the issue-based campaigning, and that is one of the best ways that you can make your political party relevant and be able to attract floating voters to the already core group of voters that you have. But looking at what has been trending over this particular election year, I think it is more now about jokes than about issues, because I don't see the message in electric shock.
But there is a message there. He's saying that we will shock these people.
How do you do that?
So I think the point he makes is that these people feel that they've dominated the political space in this country for so long. They feel they are unbeatable. But we, the CPP, will shock them.
So my question is still so what?
Vote them out.
Why?
Or you don't get that in the program?
Why? I think he has to be very clear enough. This is what I want to do. Fine. The NDC and the NPP have dominated, right? And these are the challenges with their domination. When you vote for me, this is what I'm going to do. This will be my education, my policy when it comes to education. This will be my policy when it comes to health. Those kind of things. Those are the issues that attract the voter.
If you continue doing the same thing over and over, you don't expect different results. He's been doing the same thing for a period of time. He hasn't made any impact. Perhaps this is a change that he believes will bring him the result.
So I believe if the issues were not able to get him a vote, I wonder how this is going to actually bring him votes.
That's pretty sad. That's pretty sad. But like I said, we'll be crossing over very shortly. I just want you to know that our election coverage is brought to you in association with Petrosol. Clean fuel in full quantity is always a delightful experience. Cowbell Coffee, taste it, love it. Magdan Shipping and Logistics Limited, your total logistics partner, and Pardeva Limited, your home of modern furniture. DDP Outdoor Limited, serving great brands festival, adding flavors to your life with 3-year lotteries. Star 787 hash, Ghana's premier and biggest jackpot lottery, and HEPA Plus mixture for your general well-being. So due to hard times, we've become value hunters. But are we hunting for value right away? Remember, your engine is more valuable than just cheap fuel. And that's why I recommend Petrosol to you, where we serve you clean fuel in full quantity at a fair price. Also, wake up every day to that great feeling from a delicious creamy coffee aroma from Cowbell Coffee and enjoy the delicious creamy Cowbell Coffee taste. Cowbell Coffee, taste it, love it. And for many years, since 1999, Magdan Shipping has established itself as a marketing leader in freight forwarding in Ghana. Magdan Shipping has the expertise and continues to meet your varied logistics and freight forwarding needs. So look no further. You can contact us at Block 10 Aviance Cargo Village, Kotoka International Airport, www.magdanshipping.com, or call 03027622880. And if you are tired of spending money on inferior products for your homes and offices, and you're suffering from back pains and other heart-related diseases, we have a manual and electronic adjustable desk for your laptops and desktop computers and for general use. Walk into Pad Ever Limited for your affordable home and office furniture. I'll leave the rest of the messages for Akaku to do that for you. These people are helping us bring you this coverage, and so we need to give them that due acknowledgement. I've been here, of course, with Dr. Alidu Seidu. Let me take you to Raymond Akwa and Benjamin Akapo at the 997 studios. Benjamin Akapo at the 997 studios.
Headquarters, and of course the hashtag is HQ. So don't you forget to get interactive with us. We'd love to hear from you. We're online, we're live on radio, and of course on Joy Prime and Joy News as well. Now, the analysis we're going to do now is going to focus on some regions that are the kingmaker regions, if you like. We're going to be talking about the Greater Accra region, the Central region, the Western region as well. We're also going to get into the dynamics of some of these constituencies by which the winning margin was 1,000 or less in election 2016. Look forward to that coming your way shortly. Well, let's acknowledge now some of those who make it possible for us to bring you this election coverage, beginning with the Bank of Africa, Ghana. And the Bank of Africa Ghana is pleased to inform you that you can now pay for all your government service fees at any of its branches or online using the BOA web banking application. Pay all your taxes, customs duties, MMDA levies, and administrative fees and other services to the DVLA Births and Deaths Registry, the Registrar General's Department, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, FDA, GSA, etc. at the Bank of Africa Ghana using the ghana.gov platform. They're well-trained staff available to assist you at whatever moment you pop up at the bank. Don't you forget, you can call them on that number 0302 429 333 0302 429 333. Bank of Africa, the African bank with a global reach. Have you tried Royal Perk Choco yet? What is your favorite chocolate biscuit? You might want to change your mind. Things just got perkier with the new Perk Choco. It is tastier, crunchier, and worth every bite with just the right blend of milk and chocolate for every chocolate lover. You've got to try it today, like now. Go out there, grab a pack now, perk up your day with Perk Choco. First National Bank also assisting us to bring you this. Start, run, and grow your business with the First National Bank. Now, with First National Bank Gold Business Account, you get a range of payment solutions on our award-winning platform to bank on the go and even pay Forex abroad. That's how easy it is. It takes a bank that does more to help start, run, and grow your business. Just visit firstnationalbank.com.gh and opt to have one of our consultants call you back, or you can pop into any of our branches in any of the malls, Accra Mall, Junction Mall, Makola Mall, West Hills Mall, Achimota Mall, all the malls basically, the Tema Community 11 Giant Towers building as well, and you will actually get the services of First National Bank. It is more than just business to you. First National Bank, how can we help you? Goil Ghana Link Card and going cashless has never been this convenient and exciting. Now, the Goil e-payment system is now compatible with GH Link, the national payment platform. Now, you can use your GH Link card on Goil POS machines to purchase fuel. The GH Link card offers additional payment options for fuel purchases at Goil stations in addition to the Go card. Every fuel purchased is recorded automatically on your monthly bank statement, helping cardholders track and manage their expenses. So go ahead and use your GH Link card to buy fuel and all lubricants from any of Goil's over 400 stations across Ghana. Goil, good energy. Goil, Yenara Yendia. Now, children are the world's biggest dreamers, and Toyota Ghana Company Limited is inviting all children below 15 years to inspire the world with their dreams by taking part in the 14th Toyota Dream Car Art Contest and win amazing prizes. So, what do you think the future car would look like? Toyota is offering you that opportunity for your children to actually design on an A3 paper, give that car a background and color the artwork fully using any artistic medium. They just have to go to www.toyotaghana.com and follow the processes from there. Challenge yourself, compete in this. Under 8 years, children under 8 years, 8 to 11 years, and 12 to 15 years can participate. You can also call 0559 202828 for more information. We're going to take a few more messages from some of our sponsors right before we get into the analysis that we have prepared for you. Raymond?
We know that Christmas is just a time to reward family and loyal friendships, and of course, Ben, which is why Belacqua Active is bringing Christmas early this year to say thank you for staying true to originality. Now, from October to January 2021, every pack of Belacqua Active you buy shall come with 4 extra bottles. Yes, 4 extra.
Nice.
Instead of the usual 12 bottles per pack, you get 16 bottles per pack of your original vitamin water for the same price. What you should know is that you need to go on and have a swell festive season with Belacqua Active fortified with folic acid, niacin, and vitamin B6. And they are all from the vitamin B group. One more thing you should know is that you should follow Belacqua at Belacqua GH on social media for more info. Belacqua Active. Stay true to originality. Now, let me tell you about how you can get 50 gigabyte data free wherever you buy a Surfline device at any Surfline shop or retail outlet today. Surfline, Ghana's premier 4G LTE network, puts the whole world in your hands. This 50 GB offer gives you enough data to power your digital lifestyle for schoolwork, virtual team learnings, all your streaming services, as well as sharing fun moments with family and friends. Our bundle offerings give you just the flexibility you need to choose between no expiry or never expiring out of data in any way. So whether it's internet for your whole family, your school, your office, yourself, get Ghana's only true 4G network, which has got you covered with 50 gigabyte offer. Walk into any of our shops or retail outlets in Accra, Tema, Takrady to buy a device and redeem that particular offer of instant internet for free. Surfline, it's about time.
I think we're going to have to pause there, but why do I get the feeling you're going to get the 50 gigabyte package?
I am interested. I've been trying to get some data on my own.
I should do yes. But let's quickly go to the board now and check out some of those regions we've been speaking of. Now, you were intimating to me earlier the Greater Accra region,
yes,
the Central region. I call them the kingmaker regions when it comes to our elections in this country, presidential elections.
Yes.
You've also mentioned the Western region.
It's also an interesting region.
Let's quickly take a look at them. Where are we starting from?
Let's start with the Greater Accra region. And specifically, let's get to appreciate what happened with the years that we've had elections in all of these places. Now, there are some constituencies, key constituencies. They have always voted in one direction, the way the nation voted. And they are a key indicator as to what the nation will do when it comes to this year's election that you should be looking out for as we wrap up the election some way, somehow. Voting is about ending in a matter of minutes, or let's say some 30 minutes now. We'll be done with that. So first, let's start with the Greater Accra region. Now, there are many interesting constituencies in the Greater Accra region. One I want to bring to your attention is that of Krowo. Krowo's interesting nature is because every single time in the presidential election, Kwaro has voted the same way the nation voted and chose whoever became president. 96 NDC, 2000 and 2004 NPP. In the year 2008 and 2012, NDC came back, and in 2016 the current government is in charge of that. So that's how interesting and constituency like Kwaro is.
So in other words, whomever will become president is dependent on, well, in a way, Kwaro actually votes
for who becomes
in sync with that person, whether it's an MPP candidate or an NDC candidate.
That's very much the case. Right. Now, very close to Krowo is Lojokuku. And the map also shows that the pattern that Krowo had is the same pattern that Lojokuku had, voting from 1996 to 2016 in the same way. Maybe the section of 2016 that, of course, in the parliamentary case, it makes that particular point. Now, let me bring you to another interesting constituency, the Clote Kole constituency. If you check the trends as I've shown you here, since 1996, every other year, and watch how when even they were voting in the parliamentary elections for Dr. Zaneto Rollins, they were still voting for the
NPP's presidential candidate
in the presidential elections. So that's how interesting these constituencies are, especially when it comes to following the trend. And another one you should know about is Ablekuma Central. And that's how Ablekuma Central also follows the trend when it comes to the national elections, voting just the way the nation votes when it comes to, I mean, some maybe want to put it this way. If you want to look at how the elections are going to go in the next few hours, in the next, let's say, 12 or so hours when the elections are finally declared, or within the 24 hours that the Electoral Commission is talking about, just look at these constituencies. In the Greater Accra region, look to Krowo, look to Clote Kole, look to Ablekuma Central.
A certain picture will be painted.
Yes.
And if you see them, in other words, if you see them leaning in a certain direction, it could be indicative of where exactly the nation would be headed. But before we leave the Greater Accra region, you would also notice on the other bit with regard to some constituencies in the 2016 election that were won by minimal margins. When you look at Ama Saman, you will notice that when it comes to the presidential election, there's a gap of just about 4,000. But let's go to the parliamentary level and go to 2016 and find out what exactly happened there. Now, you would look at this and see that the difference is marginal. It is one of those constituencies that were won by less than 1,000 votes, 27,665 for the losing candidate and 27,933 for the winning candidate. Just about 300 of the votes in there. So very interesting dynamic to take stock of when it comes to the Greater Accra region. There are some others in different regions that, should time allow, we're going to look at. When it comes to the central region, for example, you'd be looking at where we lost our member of parliament in recent times. I'm talking about Infantiman. You would also be considering Ekumfi, for example. Now, those are some of the constituencies that we're going to have to focus on as we get, the results coming in, because they paint a certain picture. But moving away from the Greater Accra region, are we done with the Greater Accra region?
Yes, we've actually dealt with the Greater Accra region.
Right. So we've looked at both angles, those constituencies that always vote along with the presidential candidates.
Very much so.
And the other one where,
the margin is
pattern,
so small.
exactly.
The
so
tendency
small.
that it can flip is there. And that's
Right.
how important this is. If the margin is that small, the tendency that
it could flip.
Yes. So, for example, if I become incumbent, and we know that mostly incumbents end up making people not so happy or slightly happier, so they end up losing some votes. Now, the tendency that you may lose just a little bit of the percentage to move out of the zone is what's the problem here.
Let's quickly do the central region.
Yes,
and
in the central region, this is a region of particular importance to all of us here. And because of how important the central region is, there are some constituencies you should know about. Now, Agona East is one of them. Now, beyond Agona East, we also have that constituency that we've been talking about this evening, that Ewutu Senya West constituency, where there seems to be some strife happening there. It's also important that the strife is not only happening because the constituency has some bad people. Of course, it has one of the largest number of hotspots, according to the Electoral Commission, in this country. It's also important because Ewutu Senya West has voted consistently, almost always, all the time. And let me show you quickly if it will make a lot of sense to everybody. In the case of Ewutu Senya West, we are talking slightly about how they have voted just like the way we want them to vote in the presidential one. Ewutu Senya West, Agona East, those are constituencies you should be looking out for. In fact, some were even tempted to add a footnote to the list of constituencies that have always reflected the national character when it comes to elections in this case. And maybe if you have time, we could deal with the Western regional issue of Jomoro and also Shama.
Jomoro, which for once went the way of Samia Nkrumah. She's the lone ranger who has been able to take that.
And even when they decided to vote for Samia of CPP in the presidential elections, they voted for the NDC, capping it up and following the trend on the national alliances. So, in all, look at 9 key constituencies going into the counting of this ballot. These constituencies have always told us who is going to be president of the Republic of Ghana.
Well, some analysis you're getting there. And when it comes to those constituencies where they were won by 1,000 or less votes, 16 of them for the MPP and 13 of them for the NDC side. The question is, how are the chips going to fall in election 2020? We're crossing over now to the Situation Room, where we'll get up to speed on some of what has been transpiring online. 2020. We're crossing over.
Kakbo there, Benjamin and Raymond Aqua, thank you guys. So we'll be looking at the hashtag election HQ, and then we'll look at we'll follow the trend of what people are saying. Dr. Ali just said it's been what let me see. So we have barely 15 minutes to the polls closing, and we want to take a look at what's been happening on social media. What do you envisage social media has added to the way this year's election has gone?
I think it has added to the element of a little bit of transparency in providing information, though a lot of caution has to be exercised in the kind of information we get. That's one of the biggest negative aspects of social media. But I think it's up to speed with the process, with happenings, and that kind of I report attitude of Ghanaians is actually helping put information out there for relevant authorities or agencies to act if it is actually actionable.
Would you say it has created any sense of heightened political awareness? I mean, social media, is there any research to point to that fact?
I'm not aware of any research, but anecdotal evidence suggests that sending out relevant information to people to read and also send to other people contribute to that element of education. So I think it's a very good way to educate people, as on condition that the information is actually accurate and factual, rather than if it's misinformation.
Okay, and we do our fact checking. So if we have any feed that doesn't really work for us in terms of fact checking, we won't do it. But let me cross over to Gary, Al Smith, and George Ado Jr. Okay, so you saw them right there before they even knew they were on. All right, so guys, what is social media saying? Is it buzzing already? What are people saying? We have barely 15 minutes to the closing of polls.
Yes, Gifty, it's been largely, the sentiment has largely been good and positive towards the polls and how it's gone. Generally, people are saying that they spent an average of about 15, 10 minutes at the polling centers as well. But here at the Situation Room, we'll just not be looking at social media and what's happening. We'll be giving a bird's eye view of what's happening in-house on social media and on reports around the country that we are yet to show you on television as well. So George will be doing us the honors of just going around to show you what our room is like.
Yeah, so let me take you there right now. It's 15 minutes to the end of the polls, and that means that for the young men and ladies here, there's going to be a lot of work right at 5 p.m. The calls are going to be coming in like never before. It's been a somewhat busy day. We've had 2 sets changing, but of course, from 5 p.m., now the phone lines are really going to be worked, and now they have to get into doing all the mathematics and all of that. I've got Becky here. Becky, you are keeping charge of what? OT region. How has the day been for you so far?
So far, so good. We've been, having stuff coming in, and everything is okay.
But are you ready for the challenge? Because your job actually starts after 5.
Yes, I am fully ready, and let's go. Let's
go.
do this.
Enoch Fifi is here as well, and he's manning what region? Okay, the northern region. Yeah, how have things been going so far?
Yeah, northern region so far has been very peaceful. No, nothing really major happening there, and we are ready for the votes to come in.
Ready for the votes to come in. Let me just speak to Pitch. Oh, lovely. How are you doing? Which region are you manning? Eastern region.
Yeah.
How have things been going so far?
So far, so good. A little bit of chaos, but we're good.
You're good.
And a little bit of rain. Yeah, we're fantastic.
Well, I think a little bit of advice for the guys here, because I'm like a former student of this room, Situation Room. Last 4 years I was here, so I know what it actually entails. So we'll be looking forward to all of that when it starts, all the phone calls, all the action, and we'll be bringing you the idea. We'll be giving you exactly what the picture is looking like once the results, start trickling in. I'll come back to Gary Al Smith so we can look at what's happening on social media. Let's see what a number of voters have been saying. What have they been saying, Gary? What are you picking up right now?
Right.
This is making the rounds. Yes, it is.
So Stoneboy decided to get to his polling station in style. You can see I'm not sure what you call this, 4-legged or 4-wheeled
Formula 5 maybe
or something like that.
Formula 5, yeah.
Yes, but he voted in Ashaiman, and we'll later be showing you the video of what he said afterward. Basically, he mentioned that despite the stereotype that Ashaiman can be a violent place, can be a place where people are influenced to misbehave, he was able to vote in less than 5 minutes, and he was saying that stereotype is something that should be commended as well. So Stoneboy, we have other people speaking about my colleague Muftal saying that he voted within 3 minutes, and he's saying that what a smooth process, and he's congratulating the Electoral Commission for a good job done. In response to that, we had several people under the post. You have Daku saying, "This has been one of the smoothest exercises I have seen. Just got to my center at Pokwasi, and within seconds I was done." Nana Kwame Akom says, "I voted within 120 seconds. This one says, "NPP work, they are too smart and clever." Oheneba Kwesi says, "I did mine in less than 2 minutes as well." So that's generally the voter sentiment we are getting from across the country. Apart from the isolated incidents from Ewutu that we've seen, what we saw in the morning from Ododo Diodio, and other places, generally, it's been great, it's been smooth. If you have any contrary information, please don't hesitate to send us and use the Election HQ hashtag on Twitter as well. We'll be reading most of the comments. In our next update here in the Situation Room, we'll be telling you about how the presidential candidates, indeed the 2 major political parties, are spending on social media to get their messaging to you. So, for example, just a teaser, you have Nana Adedankwa Akufo-Addo, the president, spending an amount of $53,000 on Facebook alone in terms of advertising spend between August and December 5. Now, in the past week alone, the president on Facebook has spent an amount of $17,000 just in the past week alone to try and get you to vote for him. And that's just for the,
I was actually going to prevent you from going to John Dramani Mahama. You want them to know what the NDC have been doing? You want to give them an idea?
Well,
okay, let's see if we can give them an idea. Okay,
just as a teaser, right? Because we have to go.
No, I think we'd rather hold on. Let's hold on. I think it's go. Okay, let's give them an idea. Let's see what we can do. Right, okay, that's it. Go. Right.
So, John Mahama, this is his verified page on Facebook as well. Nanado spent $53,000 in that period. He has spent $50,000 between August and December, so just $3,000 difference. And he, in the past week, here you go, in the past 7 days, he has spent $11,000 on Facebook advertising alone. We have a breakdown of what they spent on, and the messages that they have pushed, giving you an idea of what they think would be good to have influence your vote. That will be in our next Situation Room update. Guys, over to you there.
Friday. By the figures you're sharing with us right now, $50,000 we're seeing there. That's a lot of money. We're going to go to the 997 studios right now. We have a special guest we want to introduce to you. But when I return, we'll talk a little bit about how much we're spending on social media at the political parties. Let's go to 997 right now.
Election HQ. But we have joining us Ian Walker, British High Commissioner to Ghana. It's a pleasure hosting you.
The privilege is mine. It's good
Great.
to be here.
Now, you've been going round some of the constituencies, 6 of them so far, and some of the topical ones, Odododio, Ayawaso West, Wogon, and even Dade Kotopon. What are your impressions so far?
So ever since this morning, first thing this morning, it's been pretty calm. It's been my sense, very orderly. I've been genuinely impressed by the COVID protocols that have been observed at each kind of place. And I think, it's been really affirming to be here. So as you say, 10 minutes until the ballot closes. And let's hope that for the next period in the count that it goes smoothly too.
Right. Now, you also have 100 observers dotted across the country. What feedback have they been giving you?
So quite a similar experience, actually. I think we have people, up in Tamale and Kumasi and many other kind of urban centres and some more rural places too. But the general sense we have is of calm, which is what we expected, to be honest. But I think the size of each of the kind of polling stations has been quite helpful, it seems to me, so far. That the numbers have been quite controlled throughout the day.
Right.
And I guess we'll see what the next kind of 10 minutes holds. I know some of them started a bit later. But as that vote starts to kind of come in and be counted, we think that so far it's been touch wood,
right.
Well.
No polling station having more than 749. So I guess that is part of the orderly nature that we're actually seeing.
Exactly, and many actually significantly less, right? That's what surprised me a bit. Some kind of 300, 400, and so quite manageable numbers.
What kind of support? How have you been supporting organizations, that foster good elections, free, fair, transparent elections? What has the British High Commission been doing in that respect?
Well, so we have the most serious respect for Ghana's democracy, and we see working with Ghana as genuinely a sense of partnership. We're learning as much as we are supporting. But what we found is through the last couple of years we've supported CADEO financially. We've also supported Starr Ghana and done a great deal with a number of civil society organisations. But I think what I think is really interesting about this election is we're supporting the people of Ghana that want an election to come to pass, and I've heard that for the last 3.5 years that I've been here, but today I've seen it firsthand, and it's been really kind of genuinely inspiring, actually, the kind of just the quality, the energy, and the kind of the optimism I think that sits around an election. And I was watching your coverage just a moment ago, and I think it's brilliant. I think hearing the kind of conversation about the politics, about what are people's ideas, why should one party win over the other, as opposed to the process itself, that for me is a great sign that democracy is working well.
Well, thank you very much for engaging us, Ian Walker, British High Commissioner to Ghana. And of course, we're looking forward to the very best as the counting begins. It's now some 7 minutes until the polls actually close. We hand over back to the Joy News studio for a wrap.
Akakpo, thank you very much for that one. I've been doing this with Benjamin Akakpo, also with Raymond Aqua, but lots of things are happening, especially rains. It's been raining in Nwau in the northern region. It's also been raining in Wenchi. It has, we understand, halted the voting process there as well. But in Bolengin, there is no vote. The people are saying no electricity, no vote. They boycotted the elections. We'll be touching base with our correspondent in that area. We're also expecting a press conference by the National Election Response Group comprising the National Peace Council, NCCE, GJA, and that press briefing should come on very shortly. We'll also take you to Banda constituency where something really interesting is happening. Well, let me just wrap up here. My name is Gifty Andopi, and I've been doing this with Dr. Ali Duseidu. We're not done with him yet. I mean, subsequently we'll get in touch with him again. But
myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
During the time of lockdown, we recognise that young people among us could be vulnerable and subject to abuse. This is why Amacares, an organisation that advocates against child sexual abuse, is here to assist the vulnerable amongst us. We have lined up an exciting and educative programmes that can be of help to you. Please check out our website on www.amacares.org for updates of programme. Enjoy a live chat with our team members for advice. Our online counsellors are also available to advise you and signpost you to the right governmental departments. You can reach us on 033 01 33 2415 or email us at info@amacares.org. Confidentiality is key. Thank you.
Listen to Reverend David Peterson. And you have to listen. Your spouse can leave you. Your friends can leave you. Your family can leave you. Your next door neighbor will talk about you. But God will never leave you. This and every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m. on the Led by the Spirit program on Starr Radio UK.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Right. Thank you very much for staying glued to Starr Radio UK. This is London, and we're coming your way from our studios in the heart of London. My name is Frank Davids. Today, the people of Ghana goes to the polls, and as a direct result for those who actually follow the On Point program that comes your way every 5 p.m. on Mondays will not be taking place today. We're going to stay there to our election coverage of what is happening in Ghana. The people of Ghana, well, this evening, the polls are just about closing. They've gone to the polls, bearing any extensions. The polls generally should close at 5 p.m. GMT, which is right about 2 minutes from now. The people are deciding who leads them for the next 4 years as provided for by the 1992 Constitution. Again, they will be electing 275 parliamentary candidates. Every 4 years, the people of Ghana go to the polls to elect people they deem fit to lead them both at the legislature and at the presidency. That is what we'll be following. So far, so good. It's been generally peaceful so far. Incidents have been reported, including gunshots. We've also been hearing of ballots that have been started. So we'll continue to monitor that. We're going to cross over back to our sister station. And at 7 o'clock we'll switch over for a coverage of a program by Tracy. Then we'll come back at 6 o'clock. We're going to be having a panel discussion inside the studio. We're going to be having the representatives of the major political parties joining us here, the MPP and the NDC. Our reporters who are also on the ground will be joining us live also from Ghana as well. So stay glued to your set wherever you are. Our WhatsApp line, if you have any information you want us to know, if you actually outside the United Kingdom, is +447539661744. I take that again, it's +447539661744. You can actually call us on 02081332257, or if you are in the US or Canada or anywhere in the Caribbean, is +17183032737. So that's what we'll be doing going forward. We're going to cross over back to our sister station in Ghana, where for the next hour we'll pick up the feed, and from 6 o'clock my guests will be seated. We know by then some results would have been declared. Counting for polling station where there are no problems should start right about now, and therefore expect people to start floating results coming in. Of course, the Electoral Commission is the legally mandated body to actually announce the results. That said, whatever feed that is coming from the grassroots, we will bring it to you as provisional, and we're going to be following that. We're staying here up to 12 midnight today. We'll go off and come back, but we're staying here up to 12 midnight today. I'm also going to be joined by KB Bossman, who is on his way coming. Archie will be joining us as well, and other Starr Radio team, both here in Ghana, will also be joining us. I hope you stay glued to us. This is election 2020. We hope that will define the next phase of Ghana's development. And we hope, so far the Ghanaians, from what we've seen, what we've heard, what we've witnessed, it's not been bad. Not so much, to talk about violence. A few sketches over there. And we're tabulating everything, constituency by constituency, police station by police station, where those incidents are actually taking place. We will bring them to you live. So stay tuned whilst we cross over back to our sisters in Ghana to start looking at what is happening now that the polls are closing. We also expecting a news conference from the EC any moment pretty shortly, and we'll bring that to you very live. We'll bring that to you. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. There's a Starr Radio UK, your number one African Caribbean radio station in the UK. We'll continue to bring you the best of the best,
very transparent,
and we'll keep you
with the
informed
political
and
parties.
updated all throughout this
They keep insisting
election
that
2020
they are neutral.
coverage.
This is
very
about the best
important
thing that they are
Ghanaian
doing.
election
How
taking
did
place
this
right now. We know the stakes are high. We know the candidates are optimistic. We know their political parties are outbeat. Someone called out this morning and was like, they don't know how to manage if their party loses. But you know what? These are elections. You know there are two results that are likely to come your way. It's either you win or you lose. Each of them is a result and it's acceptable. If there's no winner, there will not be someone who will lose. But they are all equally good results. So supporters over the stay calm. We'll cross over to Ghana now, and we'll be right back in the next hour.
Everything before it can be counted. We can see their frustration. We can see the desperation. You can see the number of pickups that they are moving around in Aswanse alone. I have seen them move around in Aswanse with more than 20 pickups with heavily built young men. What for? I challenge anybody to tell me whether he has seen one single pickup by NDC tax going around. We want this election to be peaceful. So we've done everything to make sure that this is peaceful. We don't see same from our compatriots, the MPP. We are pleading with them. So far, Aswanse has been calm. We've been able to go through all this. Let's finish it hard. Let the will of the people prevail. Secondly, at Ababu number 2, there was another incident of vote buying, where a young man was seen with several cars of young other persons. And why he does simply is that he's been giving money. So when you come, you are going to vote, he gives you your card, but he doesn't give you the money. When you go and vote and you snap the picture, you come to show him, then he's not sure that you voted for MPP, then he gives you the money. We arrested him. As law-abiding citizens, we'll call the police to come and pick him. And the police came to pick him. We are saying all this to point to you that we are doing everything humanly possible to abide by the laws. We could have maimed him. We could have taken the laws into our hands on both incidents, but we didn't do that. The third incident also happened at Malan Ladan in Akotia line, where a young man got to the station only to realize that his name has been ticked. He insisted that he didn't vote. He had not voted. It almost became a fracas. And we had to plead with people there. Look, I strongly believe one vote matters, but one vote cannot make a decision in Aswasi. By the grace of God, one vote will not. So we want to preserve the peace. We are now about to go for counting and collation. We are pleading with the media. Please, sharpen your skills. If anything that we have seen so far if anything that so far, this incident, 3 incidents that had happened, it tells all of us the level of desperation MPP is in. And we believe, and that's one of the reasons why we were insisting that the collation center be done in a built-up community, where the community itself protects the collation center. Now it is at the outskirts. It is our prayer that all of you will do your very best to ensure that we all have the right things, we'll do the right things, we'll abide by the laws, so that at the end of the day, this election will be very peaceful and free and fair. So we want to thank you sincerely for your support the whole day. You've been with us, throughout the thick and thin. We believe in about an hour and a half from now, the decision of the people of Aswasi will be made known to all of us. And we are very confident that democracy will be the victorious at the end of this day. But thank you so much for coming.
Alaji, you talk about some people bringing in ballot papers that has already been printed. How many of them have you seen so far? And how were you able to, identify the person? And where is that person as we speak now?
Well, when this happened, the police officer at that police station handcuffed the young man. The video is here, and we are going to share it with all of you. The video. That's at the New Zongo. At New Zongo. New Zongo. That's Babalati. To be precise, that's the name of the police station, Babalati. That's where it happened. The police officer on duty handcuffed the young man and then collected the sheets from him. Initially, we all didn't know the content of the sheet. And then when he was making an attempt to count it, that was when we realized that it was all stamped Halidu Seidu. And it has the stamp of EC at its back. So it all had Halidu Seidu's, it was all printed in Halidu Seidu's name.
But when you look at the difference between this one and the one that the EC is using for this election,
yes,
the difference is clear.
The stamp, the EC stamp at the back is here. That's exactly why we are saying that should it happen that there's a single overvoting in a polling station, we want to validate every single ballot paper that has gone in. Because we are very confident that, yes, if you look at the way it's been printed, yes, because of the struggle, people holding in the sweat, it will be torn. If it is original, it is torn from a booklet. So the edge will not be this sharp. But because during counting, the eagerness to finish counting is there. The tendency for you not to be looking at the nitty-gritty and the final details of the ballot paper is very high. That's why we are saying, should we record any overvoting at any of our polling stations, we will insist that every single ballot be inspected, its serial number, and check the authenticity of each sheet because of what we have seen. But because the sizes are the same, so the attempt, if you are not careful, what is easiest is that it will all be counted as part of the ballots. But if we have any single incident of voting, we will insist that each sheet be inspected. And we believe that by the time those sheets are inspected, all those foreign materials could be identified, even though they may be having the EC stamp at the back. Because all of us, what is on our mind is that, oh, let's just check the seal. Is the stamp there? That will have been the thing that we'll be doing. Now we know that EC, for whatever reason, some of them have compromised themselves. The stamp has found its way in the hands of our opponents, but at least the description of the sheet and the serial numbers and other things, we definitely believe will not be same. So that is what we'll be doing.
What are you expecting will happen to those arrested?
Well, he also asked what happened to a young man. In fact, initially there was a lot of tension. The people wanted to beat, they wanted to maim. The police officer was only one. When the military officers came, they whisked the young man away. Well, we are hearing some rumor that the young man has already been released. As to whether it is true or not, we cannot really tell. But the fact is that the young man was whisked away by the military.
Okay, so that's the Honorable Mubarak. That's Muntaka Mubarak, MP for Aswasi, and right now it's beginning to rain here. And any moment it looks like it's going to rain right here, but then he's taking questions at the moment. He is calling for validation of all.
And of course, Erastus Asare-Donkor is going to stay with me, and let's break this down a bit more. One of the things we're going to do shortly, show you that incident that led to this particular press conference that Muntaka Mubarak, who also happens to be the minority chief whip in Parliament, is complaining about. We have a footage that captures this whole incident unfold, and this particular individual will join us to get a clear sense of what happens there going forward. Erastus is still with me. We'll bring him in shortly now that this particular press conference is over. But one of the things I want to quickly take you back to the Asawase constituency. Now, what you're seeing on your screens, if you're listening to us on Joy 99.7 FM, is that incident of a gentleman who is accused of tampering these ballots, being heckled, pushed around by a group of well-built men. There's a police officer in short. We spoke to him. Listen.
100 cedis or J-card now, no amount 100 cedis or J-card now. I swear. No, so say asem America no, so I say me boa and they are in court. So I say me boa and they are in court asem America no. So I say me boa asem America no, in court.
So what they are saying is that they arrested this gentleman. He had a number of voter ID cards in his hand. They say it's 20, but he says it's 15, and they claim that he's been giving money to these people to go and vote in a certain direction. Let me find out from him himself what he has to say about all this. Boss, what do you have to say about all that they're saying?
People are his members within his club, and he has promised himself, because they are angry, that he will give them 10 cedis after voting. That is how he managed to give them 10 cedis, and he got those cars with him. He really paid money to them, and the money, they've collected it, and based on that, he has managed to secure those cars to authenticate whether indeed they have done what he asked them to do.
So what are you trying to do with all these voter ID cards? For me,
what he said was that these cars are with him for about 2 months. These cars are with him for about 2 months, and he's been managing the cars with his members. He knew it's normal, it's legal, that is why he engaged himself. He also said these cars are basically with him per agreement he signed with them. That is why he was holding the cars. In all, this is why he's trying to portray.
Boss. Your witness. Boss, please. What will be the...
So that is how this all played out, which is what has led to the Member of Parliament holding this press conference to make the further allegations and asking for a few things. Erastus Aridonko is a man on the ground for us on this unfolding issue, and he joins me live right now from Asawase. Erastus, so precisely what is Muntaka Mubarak asking for at this moment with the complaint that he's put forward after this press conference? Hello, Rastus.
Yeah, Evans, there's so much noise here, but if you can repeat that.
I'm wondering, having had the minority chief whip at this press conference, what precisely is he asking for? What are his demands?
Well, so he's calling for the people who have been arrested to be prosecuted. One, he says he understands that the young men have already been released, but that's an allegation he's making. We've not been able to confirm that. And then he's saying that they are going to be vigilant as voting ends and counting begins. But if he's told all his agents that in case they find overvoting in any of the polling stations, they are going to call for validation of each of the ballot papers to establish whether indeed these are ballot papers that were pushed in, or they were ballot papers that have been originally torn from the ballot books and has originally been voted into the ballot papers. And so his demands are just two. He wants the right things to be done, the people who have been arrested to face the law. Again, he wants his agents to be very vigilant, and then he's going to call for a validation of every ballot paper should in case overvoting happens in any of the polling stations inside Asawase.
Okay, Erastus, I want you to stay with me. Stay with me. Don't go anywhere, because I want to cross over to the Electoral Commission headquarters, where my colleague Israel Lai is standing by with the Director of Electoral Services at the Electoral Commission, Dr. Srebo Kweku, on this unfolding development in Asawase and other issues that have come up in the course of the day. Now, Israel, there's a lot happening tonight, obviously, with the polling, but this Asawase incident, alleged ballots being tamperinted, demands are being made right now by the Member of Parliament. First of all, has this come to the attention of the Electoral Commission? And what is it that you're saying about this? More importantly, are they going to investigate?
All right, so I've just been speaking with the Director of Electoral Services at the Electoral Commission, Dr. Srebo Kweku, and he indicated that, yes, they also saw the news conference, which was granted, or the address by the MP for the area, Muntaka Mubarak, when he was speaking with the journalist, and the allegations that he was making, or the concerns that he was raising. So they are aware. It was just coming to their notice. But I want to just go straight to him to find out exactly what they're having to say about it. Dr. Srebo Kweku, and he's here with his deputy. So he's going to be speaking to that issue. So this issue coming out of Asawase, where the MP is saying that there was some attempt. So has this come to your attention?
Officially, no, but I also saw it as he was addressing the press. And if I got it right, then somebody had wanted to push in into about some foreign ballot papers, and he was arrested. So from what he said, the person was handcuffed at the police station and he was sent away. That also confirmed the integrity of the system. That in attempt to, people will just bust you up. And if he has succeeded in putting them in, then what we would have done was to do the reconciliation and auditing, so that we can fish out the illegal one through the serial numbers. Because every polling station has a specific serial number range. So if you bring anybody outside the serial number range, then it will be found out.
Okay, so this is when you count and you realize that there's over.
We'll not count. We'll do what we call reconciliation. So immediately they finish with the voting, the machine will indicate that this is the number of people who have voted. Then they will check the counterfoil. Then there should be a confirmation. So in that case, when they pour out the ballot papers, they will put them upside down and also check, one, whether they have been validated, and two, how many are there, so that they should, the three should match. The machine validation, the counterfoil of the used ballot papers, and the reconciliation. So once they are certified, before they do the counting.
All right, so Evans, so that's the update we're getting from the Electoral Commission. Essentially, we should expect that whatever issues have been raised should become apparent when they start doing the reconciliation, which reconciliation should be happening probably just about now, because that is the first thing they do before they do the counting. Right?
I mean, when as they have finished, they will complete the C portion of the system report, that is the accounting system. It will indicate how many people have been verified, how many ballot papers were used, how many people were spoiled, how many people were verified through the manual. So that when they do that, then it will give them the total number of ballots as being expected from the ballot box, then before they open it.
All right, so Evans, I'm anticipating that Erastus, who's actually on standby on the other line, he probably should be giving us an update as to how things pan out in the next few minutes, or probably about now. But Dr. Sribo Kwaku is also on standby for us to just go over some of the issues that have come up throughout the day. You know, the issue about the former president saying that his security detail wasn't able to find his name on the voters register. Eventually, he found his name, plus some other issues. An issue that happened at Ewutu Senya and Boku Central having to do with the ballot tampering. These issues too, they're already, plus some other issues that have come up.
Israel, so stay with me briefly with Dr. Sribo Kwaku. Let me go back to Erastus. Now that we have some context now from the Electoral Commission, let's get some clarity there in Asawasi, how the electoral officers are handling this particular issue, and the police as well. Erastus, you were giving us the update there. Now we've heard from the Electoral Commission headquarters, but the officers on the ground are empowered to address this problem, right? What have they said about this particular report to check if any of these foreign materials actually ended up in the ballot boxes and an attempt to address it? Let's address that quickly. And then we also had to get a picture of this gentleman who was arrested. What has happened to him in terms of his arrest? Is he still behind bars? But what is the electoral officers on the ground telling you on this complaint?
Well, the presiding officer for the Babalate New Zongo polling station only confirmed the incident to me. In fact, in his own words, he said when he was told that the gentleman was planning something, he didn't believe it, but he observed him critically. And then when he saw that he was adding ballot papers to the box, he held his hand and invited the policeman on duty to assist him where he was handcuffed before reinforcement was called. Aside that, what he is saying is that he cannot give any further information, but I asked him whether he was able to put the ballot paper inside, and he's sure that he has not already stuffed the ballot paper with other materials. He said no, it was just about when he was adding the other papers that he held his hand and invited the other officers to come in. So he's not giving any further information aside to confirm that indeed that was what the young man was trying to do.
And we know he was arrested. We saw the footage of him being arrested. The allegation is that possibly he's been released. Do we have an update on that?
Well, if I get you correctly, you're asking whether voting has resumed?
No, I'm asking about the gentleman in question who we know was arrested. The allegation was that possibly he has been released. What is the update on that? Is he still in custody?
Well, at the moment, the police are not giving us much information on that one. But when we were leaving Babalate polling station inside New Zongo, we had the hierarchy of the police itself moving into that particular location. We had the divisional crime officer for the Zongo police station, bringing in reinforcement and ensuring that the place is secured. The young man was whisked away. We understand he's been sent to the Zongo police station, and they are processing him for court, but we've not been able to confirm whether he has been released or he's still in custody. We'll be able to do that in due course. But what we know is that he has been whisked away. He's been sent to the Zongo police station for processing, and that the place has been secured. Quite a number of armed policemen have been brought to that particular polling station, and voting resumed before we left the polling station. Evans.
Erasmus, thank you very much for that. Keep safe tonight, obviously, as counting begins. Erasmus is going to bring us all the updates from Asawase, of course, as the counting begins. I want to go back to the Electoral Commission headquarters, where Israel is still standing by with the Director of Electoral Services now. There are many things that have come up in the course of the day. Israel, you're telling me about a few things that the Electoral Commission themselves are paying attention to, including allegations that people were still not finding their names. And this includes the former president's own bodyguard. He himself had made that allegation, and others that had also cropped up across the country. What clarifications are we getting from the Electoral Commission?
All right, so I'll go straight to the Electoral Commission. We'll start with the issue of the former president's security detail who couldn't find his name on the roll. Eventually, apparently he found his name, and he has since voted, and Dr. Siribo Kweku is going to address that. So let's start with the issue of the former president's security detail. He indicated earlier that he couldn't find his name on the roll, even though he had registered and he had gone he was there for the exhibition, and he found his name. How has that been addressed?
Israel, I think I would say they should have waited small for them to be sure of what had transferred. Because what I'm told happened was that we have the security man didn't go with the ID card, so he just mentioned the name. And if you mention the name, it's a lie. The name reference list is arranged alphabetically. So if you mention Israel, I'll be looking for I, but maybe you use a lie first. So I'm told that when he mentioned the name, they used a name reference list and they couldn't trace the name. So the gentleman went and informed the former president, and that's where the former president made it public. Then, because somebody knew him, the person mentioned the full name. It's a lie. So they tried this one and they found the name. So the person was called back. The name was found in the name reference list. It was found in the register. It was verified that he cast the vote.
Okay. So he has since voted?
He has voted. It was within 10 minutes. They sorted all these things. So they should have be a bit hesitant in going to the media.
Right. Before we go to the other issues, I'm also interested in the queues. One of the things that the Electoral Commission sought to do this time around was to make sure that you had as many polling stations as possible so that you reduce the queues. Would you say that has worked? It worked for most part of the day because there were very few reports of queues. But from what you're picking from the reports from the ground, are there still queues, people in queue after 5 p.m.?
For now, I've not had any information about queuing after the 5 o'clock. So I am of the view that they have been able to clear all the queues. Because I talked to one of my region that time in Techiman, and he was saying that even it rained around 3 to about 4:30. So I told him that the people can still make it because it's just about 30 minutes or 1 hour rain. And before I left the room, the people were not in the queue. So I'm of the view that the reduction of the threshold means that there will be no long queue after 5. So for now, I am expecting that people might have started even doing accounting.
All right. You wanted to add something?
Oh, no. I think because the threshold was set for 749, it means that the rounds that I went, I realized that I didn't see any queue even around 2 p.m. So it means that the idea of increasing the number of polling stations has worked for Electoral Commission.
All right. Now, what were some of the other issues that you came across on your rounds?
Well, I realized that if I compare this year's elections to that of 2016, I realized that there were no queues, and that one is a plus for Electoral Commission. And wherever I went, I asked the election officials whether they've encountered any problem in respect of the BVD.
And Israel Live, the Electoral Commission, he will join us again. Let's wrap that up because very important clarifications coming from the Electoral Commission on some of the key issues that, of course, you've heard about here on your election headquarters. But I want to stay with the Asawase picture a while longer because you possibly need to appreciate why Asawase is a key place for the NDC in the particular part of the country. And why this year in particular, more than any other year, Asawase is going to be even keener in terms of the contest that we've seen there. Why is that? I want to quickly go into Amar for you because that will tell you a story. Let's isolate Asawase from the Ashanti region. And it's difficult to spot Asawase because in the Ashanti region, you have loads and loads. In fact, the region with the maximum number of the most constituencies in the country, but it's somewhere in the middle. I want to expand this. Follow me as we track it, and that is the little green island in there. Little green island in there is Asawase. Let's bring it up a bit more and let's track it. And that is where I'm talking about. I want to quickly expand this a bit more so we appreciate what I'm talking about. This green island here, surrounded by blue, is Asawase. It's an island because it is one of the few areas in the Ashanti region where NDC holds, and there are a few others. So you have New Edubiase, and I'll come to New Edubiase story shortly because it's a very fascinating one. There is Setra Dumase and Setra Farm Plains. These are the areas, but this is the most talked about for a lot of reasons. This year, even more so than most other years, because I want to pull up. This is the 2016 parliamentary contest, which you see in your far end there. Muntaka Mubarak secured that victory again, 53.6%. That's against the MPP's 45.9%. Now, this won't tell you too much of a story until you pull up the trends. Because if you pull up the trend, I want to center the trend a bit here. And I want to take the map away because it's getting in the way. I wanted to focus a bit for me on this area here. Now, focus for me on this particular trend, and I want to circle what I want to pay attention, what I want you to pay attention to. Now, this has changed because I touched the map. I want to pull it back and then go back into Asawase for us to focus on. Now, the key issue that I wanted to focus on and bring your attention to, if you go back into Asawase and pull up the trend, you would observe that it's an NDC stronghold, as we've said. But in 2016, Muntaka Mubarak lost his biggest margin yet, apart from what we saw in 2004, right? And which means this year is going to be very keen. And that is a year also where the MPP candidate got closest to him in terms of the contest, the race to win the particular parliamentary seat. Focus here for me. Now, this is a key area that I want to focus. 53.6%. The only time that he's gotten as low a mark as that was in 2008. And so that is a key thing to watch. And of course, you saw 2004 as well, that playing out. That is why this year is very keen because the gap has narrowed. And so this year, the contest is absolutely even more keen. But there's a lot more to tell you about the story unfolding there because it's become one of the marginal seats that is possibly in that bracket of flipping. And the MPP is putting a lot of resources in there and has over the last few weeks. I want to take you back to the Electoral Commission and we'll return to this to explain the contest on why this is becoming very keen as Asawase. But I'll go to Gary. And Gary is standing by in our strong room. If I'm not mistaken, with the very latest on the issues coming in. Also, before I bring in Gary, I want to go to some breaking developments that is happening with Wings, ghastly Wings. We understand is disrupting polling with Precious Semabo is joining us with the latest on this. Precious, we understand the Wings are upsetting and is disrupting polling. Polling has ended a few minutes back. How bad is it?
Yeah, so Evans, the situation is that bad. Now it is raining heavily. Now, almost all the tents that were, the temporary tents that were erected for the exercise to take place under has been brought down by the wind. But the presiding officers and the other EC officials, including the party agents, decided to move under a building, a story building, which is close to the polling center. We had about 7 polling centers at this particular area known as Victoria Park here in the Sunyani East constituency. Now, so the whole exercise has been distracted, and they had to move away to a domed building to seek shelter, making the sorting and the counting very, very difficult for the EC officials. They are cramped in a very, very small corner, the corridor of a story building, and that is where they are trying with the agreement with all the party agents to try and then see how they can go through the sorting and the counting process. So what they've resorted doing is that they are no longer pouring the vote cast onto the table, but what they are doing is that one person brings it out from the ballot box and then show it to them. If it is a box or a paper printed for NDC, it is given to one person, and if it is for NDPP, it is also given to another person in that order. So they are just trying to adjust and make do with the current situation. It started with a strong wind, it is raining heavily, and they had to do something in order to go through the sorting and the counting process after the exercise came to an end at exactly 5 p.m., just about 2-3 minutes thereafter, and then the whole weather situation changed drastically, and this is what is happening here in the Sunyani East constituency.
Okay, yeah, Precious Senator, thank you very much. And that is the Sunyani East constituency. Well, of course, as we've heard there, strong winds are disrupting polling, which has come to an end. You cannot count ballots within a context of strong ghastly winds because you risk the ballots being blown away, and that can cause a lot of disruption to the very smooth process that we've had in that particular part of town. And I guess he just explained that the EC officials are doing the right thing, taking precautions and waiting for things to calm down a bit, and also taking shelter so they count this properly and get everybody else sign on to that dotted line before the pink sheets become official. I want to take you to a WA because Rafiq Salam is joining us where we understand counting has started. One of the things about Ghanaian election, a unique feature of it is that counting is done in the full glare of people, and it's one of those things we are proud about because it adds to the transparency of the process, and that is happening right now in that WA constituency where my colleague is standing by. Rafiq, you're seeing a lot there, and I'm interested. I'm sure our viewers, of course, will also want to experience this process again. It's happening, another election year. Walk us through what you see.
The issues here is that the West Central constituency, there are 202 polling stations, and I can tell you that voting they're peaceful. But I can still report to you that there are some queues are still at some places they haven't closed. A place like Dampui Pala on the insurance road, voting is still going on, and other few places that voting is currently ongoing in the West Central constituency. But I can also report to you that in the Sasala West constituency, several polling centers voting is still going on. They had problems with their biometric devices, and then also as a result of that, the voting was slow. And so majority of the polling centers in the Sasala West constituency of the Upper West region, I can report that not more than half of the people have so far been able to vote in the Sasala West. And so the both political parties, like the major political parties, the NDC and MPP, they're encouraging the people to stay on the line as far as tomorrow, and that they will have that opportunity of voting. So here is very peaceful here in the West Central constituency of the Upper West region. And
Rafiq, you also heard about a community in the Upper West region that says they will not vote. Did that change in the course of the day?
That community is in the West District. It's called Bolingin. Bolingin is on the way from Wa to Kumasi. When you get to Ga, the first community, Bolingin, they've complained that for several years they have not gotten electricity, they don't have good drinking water, and then also the roads are not good. Remember, some few weeks ago, the DC of the area together with 40 others, were attacked by suspected robbers. And so the community people said that they won't vote. Here, the electoral materials were sent there, the electoral officers were there, but the people failed to come out to vote in that particular community.
Rafiq, thank you very much. And that's not the only story we've heard today about communities that saying they won't vote and they were not going to queue to participate in this year's elections. Talking about queuing, by the way, polling ended 40 minutes plus ago. Here, of course, in this particular segment, we're calling it post-closing. But as Martina Bugri reports, and she joins me right now on our screens, 40 minutes on, people are still in the queue, more than 300 people still waiting to cast their ballots, and every single individual who was in the queue before 5, we expect will be allowed to vote. Martina.
Yes, Evans, we are at Vovo Guma, a community in the Tamale North constituency, and we are the Anglican school where voting is taking place. We have a lot of people here who are yet to vote. We are told that over 380 people are yet to cast their vote. Now, this is not the only polling center in this constituency with this issue. Earlier, we were at Fo and Balahe. These communities also have very long queues. At Fo, we had about 340 people yet to vote, and that was after 5. We are here again, and then we have about 380 people yet to vote.
Okay. But the EC, I'm sure, and I can see behind you the long queues there, but it remains pretty calm. EC definitely assuring people they'll vote. I guess that is what is instilling this sense of calm. Did people arrive late? Is that what it is? Did people just show up late, or the queue has been this long since morning?
No, the queue has been this long since morning. We are told that it's been slow with the verification machine since morning, and they started late as well, and that could be the reason why we still have very long queues here. Fortunately, we have the Member of Parliament for Tamale South, Tamale North, Alasan Suyini, who's also on the rounds, and we've met him at the Wovo Anglican Primary School. Yes, sir. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Martina.
You have seen this queue. We have similar queues somewhere else. Are you worried?
Very, very worried. I think that the situation is just unacceptable. I mean, this is a polling station that serves a number of communities, and so with the voter population at this particular station exceeding 700, the expectation was that it would have been divided into A and B. I'm sure if they did that, we wouldn't have had the situation that we are witnessing currently. It's past 5 p.m. and my understanding is that some of the voters have had to even travel back to their communities after the frustration they went through this afternoon and were unable to vote, because when it gets dark, they may not be able to get back to their communities. And so I think this is unacceptable. It's simply unfortunate that we are having to deal with this situation.
We were at the Fo village. We saw similar numbers and similar concerns. What are you going to do about it, considering that you are contesting?
Well, currently what we are doing is to ensure that all those in the queue, exercise their franchise. I mean, we have similar reports coming to us from Ward K area where people are still in long queues, and it is all as a result of the, partitioning of the polling stations. We thought that the increase in number of polling stations in this constituency was going to lead to shorter queues, but unfortunately, somehow, I don't know how they managed to allow certain areas to still be concentrated in the way that they are concentrated. I mean, if you observed at Fo, it was the same thing. 700 people having to vote at one polling station without, making provision to divide it into A and B. Meanwhile, you go to some other polling stations and then you have just 200 or 100 people, on the register to vote. And these are even stations within the center of town. So you wonder why the thought was not, why they didn't think about, creating an opportunity for these communities that are sparse, to have A and B, maybe even closer to their communities, but concentrate them at this one spot.
It's like it was not anticipated, so preparations were not made. The place looks dark. I wonder what is going to happen, how they are going to cope with some of these lapses. Now, you are you are talking of other places. Have you visited these places, or they are just hearsay you are reporting?
I've visited almost all the polling stations. I've looked at the numbers, and that is why I'm able to tell you that at certain places there were just about 100. At 12 midday, some stations were almost done with voting, and that is what beats my imagination. Why they did that for certain communities but failed to do it where I believe it is most needed. But I have, provided some lighting system for some of the communities that I know are having this similar problem. So we are hoping that the people will remain patient, those in the queue will remain patient, and then voting will conclude, and then we will have some improved lighting around. You can see that the people in the community, through my support, have been able to put up this lighting system there. We are also bringing in some street lights to make sure that the visibility is okay for them to do the counting when they finally get done with the vote.
Thank you very much. You heard the Member of Parliament for Tamale North, Mr. Alhassan Suhuyene. He's obviously not happy about the numbers that are yet to go through, even though polls have ended. So Evans, that's what we have here at the Tamale North constituency.
Right now, and as you can see, my colleague Ernest Menu is standing by with the very latest on that. Ernest, we understand that there have been some pelting of stones at Ododo, which has been full of incidents today. What triggered this?
And the incident happened. It unfolded right before me. Two groups of young men throwing stones at each other. They had taken, pieces of these concrete slabs just at the shore there, and they were throwing it at each other. The police had to fire some shots just to disperse them, and this is the second time the police had to fire. In fact, just before 5 p.m., there was some exchange between the police and some residents. You can see that the entire place, the forecourt of the city engineers, has been cordoned off with a lot of police presence. There's a police army car also here. It is because the police wanted to clear the place and make it less congested, decongest the place, so we can have a very serene atmosphere for the counting. And remember, Evans, that this is also the place, as we speak, it is still a polling station with about 6 centers. But eventually, in a few minutes, once the counting is done, it is going to be the collation center for the constituency. And so already the people were massing up. The police thought that they should drive away some of the people so they can have space and do the counting peacefully because of the peculiar nature of this place. Some residents fired gunshots. The police fired back. It went on for about 2 minutes before the close of poll, and then we had this incident also happening just here. So there's going to be a lot of action here at the city engineers here at Ododo. There have been spontaneous jubilation by some of the residents around, and what they are saying is that their favorite candidate, Ni Lante Vanderpoel, has won a few of the polling stations. But Evans, come with me in here because, and let me say that the incidents which happened brought a lot of my colleagues out of the main compound of the city engineers. I want to take you inside where the sorting and the counting is happening here at the city engineers. And like I mentioned, Evans, very soon it is going to be the collation center for the sorting out and the counting indeed is happening. Remember, there were 6 centers here at the city engineers. So you have the first center there with the counting happening. A very small group over there, and then there is another here also doing the counting. So multiple centers, 6 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. 6 of the centers right here at the city engineers. Very soon, once they are done with the counting, the results declared by the polling, the presiding officer, they will clear up the place and then begin to receive ballot boxes from various 60 polling stations here at Ododo. This is where we are going to have the collation for the constituency, and eventually the declaration. We're going to tell you who is winning the Ododo constituency. This year it has been heated between the two, between the cousins, Nilante Vanderpoel and Nilante Bannerman. Remember, in 2016, Nilante Vanderpoel won by a difference of 10,000. That was the huge gap. It remains to be seen if Neil Ante-Bannerman will overturn this, Evans.
Ernest, thank you very much. And of course, as Ernest has just indicated, we'll be using this map here to track for you, and the map will be filling, turning blue and green as and when the results coming. And so Odododo is a key place to watch, and that collation center will become a beehive of activity very soon. And stay with us because we'll come back to you quite often to get an update once you get a clearer picture. I want to cross over to the central region right now because my colleague Kojo Nyako is standing by. This is another swing region, and as you can see in your shot there, Winston Amwa is ready with his panel, a crack panel of experts, and I'm just delighted that all of them get to join us here on your election headquarters. But before we go to Studio 997, let's bring in Kojo Nyako, who's joining us right now with the very latest from that part of the country that will, without a doubt, decide this year's elections at the presidential level. Kojo?
222 out of 351. Hello, Evans. 69. Hello, Evans.
And people are getting excited about the impending declarations of results, parliamentary and presidential.
Hello, Evans.
Yes, Kojo. I can hear you loud and clear, and I can see the action behind you.
At the old High Court polling station. Currently, what you are witnessing on your screens right now is a counting of ballots for the parliamentary election. The presidential has already been counted, and then President Akufo-Addo, the NPP candidate, got 156. The NDC candidate got 120, and then they switched on to the counting of the parliamentary election. Is gone on generally smooth. On the other side of this place, as the counting is going on, eager faces of residents who are eagerly waiting for the outcome of the elections. They have been stationed here the entire day, and so there is something that separates them from where the counting is done, so that there will be some kind of order. But Evans, I tell you that in the Cape Coast South constituency, in the 2016 elections, the NPP presidential candidate won here, but they lost the parliamentary seat. So it remains to be seen what the outcome of this election will be. We are in for 112 polling stations, and a lot of them are done, and counting is underway at the various polling stations there. The ones that have not finished, you can count them in 5 minutes. They are just a handful, and so very soon the collation would be done at the collation center here at the Cape Coast, and everything has gone on smoothly without any incident in the Cape Coast South constituency I have been to. Elsewhere in the other parts of the central region, the Chifu, Timuka, and the Himalawa, the Inchura, Evans, it was raining, so it rained about 3 hours, but they managed to put a lot of things together to ensure that the voting went on. When I was leaving that place, in fact, voting had ended in a lot of the polling stations in those places. And in the central region, generally things have been smooth, with the exception of some few hiccups in the Ewutu Senya area. But here, down south, everything has been done. So let's catch some of the sounds from the presiding officer who is counting what the ballot has been.
114, 115, 116, 117.
So Evan, so it's an interesting spectacle here. People are rushing here. Those who voted and went to the house, they are now coming in. So the crowd is building. They would want to see what the outcome really was for the presidential and what the outcome really would be for the parliamentary. And so that is what I can report here from the Cape Coast South constituency.
Thank you very much, Kojo Nyako. This is one of those things that you can't help but love about the process when it ends. It's just the building anticipation, the anxiety, the excitement that builds when you begin to hear the numbers, as you've just witnessed there of course, in that Cape Coast constituency. More of that. We'll be focusing on the big picture, though, with the actual numbers when they come in. Our map will begin to fill for you. Let me just illustrate for you what you begin to see when the numbers come in. This is grey at this particular moment, and it's going to begin to fill for you very quickly across the country when the numbers start coming in from parliamentary, but also from presidential. And we'll fill this. Blue means MPP has won. Green means NDC has won. And of course, we'll play with this. We'll tell the stories as it comes, all here on your election headquarters. I'll be doing this with Winston Amwa. And guess what? He is at Studio 997, the best political team anywhere is standing by right now with a crack team of guests we have assembled for this particular segment. This obviously is where the real deal is, where the results coming. And as you can see there, you have Emmanuel Bombande, Professor Ajimandria, and of course Winston himself with a host of crack experts to now digest the day's issues and look ahead to what is yet to come to decide the fate of the two gentlemen seeking an election. Winston. Two gentlemen seeking an election.
In studio, you have to my right, that's Mr. Emmanuel Bombande. Now, he is a UN Senior Mediation Advisor. Then to my immediate left is Professor Bafo Ajimandria, who is a former UN Senior Governance Advisor, and Dr. DeGraft Johnson Owusu-Ansah is a mathematician and a statistician, a senior lecturer at the Department of Actuarial Science of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Now, before we cross over to the Joy News studio, they'll be telling us their initial assessment of the whole process, and then we'll get back to you, Evans. Let me start off with you, Dr. DeGraft Johnson. Let me say good evening to all of you, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us. Welcome. Dr. DeGraft Johnson, your assessment of the process so far in a minute. How's it been for you?
So far, so good. I've had a time to go around in Accra, visiting some polling stations to see what is going on. One thing is clear, the design method that the EC actually chose has made in such a way that there were less queue in most of the areas. In fact, it has facilitated for us to be able to adhere to the COVID-19 protocol.
And when you say the design method that the EC chose, what method are you talking about?
The EC actually did not clamp the polling stations. So the numbers that they do have on polling stations are quite small. I think we've been told it's about 790 for each polling station. So you have a lot of polling stations, more than what it previously used to be. This has necessitated the area in such a way that people goes there, and from some calculations that we've done, within 3 to 5 minutes, you are done voting and you are supposed to leave the premises, which has helped in the COVID-19 protocols actually.
Great. Let me get you, Professor Bafo Ajimandria. What's been your assessment of the process?
Yes, I didn't have the opportunity to go around the various locations, but I did follow the media, this channel plus all the other channels. I was just rotating from station to station. But overall, it seems to me that the process has been quite smooth. Of course, there have been a number of incidents. Of course, I followed the report of the CODEO, the interim report, that gave a fair assessment from their perspective and generally commended the work of the EC and Ghanaians generally. So CODEO gave that verdict. I'm also aware of the complaints registered by the opposition party for certain infractions that they have detected. But I think if you look at the general picture, I'm pretty comfortable that this process has gone on well. You know, taking into account the kinds of tension that we had, the anxieties and the suspicions and mistrust that were displayed by contestants. I think, by and large, if the counting goes well and the decision is welcomed by all parties, then I'm happy that we have done well.
Mr. Bombande, you have the final preliminary comments.
Yes, I join my colleague panelists to appreciate the relative smoothness of the polls so far, and Ghanaians are demonstrating a very good example and exercise in democratic practice. I look at some of the incidences that we have been followed, and what I have done is to follow the situation rooms, WANEP, National Peace Council, the National Commission for Civic Education, and they have reported incidences that I believe would, in my view, be followed at the immediate level, but also what kind of lessons emerge. But the point I wanted to make is we are at the point of now building the bridge to what happens now post the election day into the result counting. And how we are able to look at that is important, because if you look at the incidences that have been reported, I'm happy with the way the police are dealing with some of them. I'm happy that even where citizens apprehended somebody for wrongdoing, they immediately called on the police to handle it. And they did not take it upon themselves to do anything. And I'm encouraged by that. So I'm encouraged by the role of the police in ensuring that they are doing what must be done. That in turn is making people to be more relaxed and to have confidence that the police are on the ground and doing their work. And to that extent, therefore, how will this translate into the vote counting? And if I were to finish on this point, I take seriously what the leadership of our parties did on Friday, the 4th of December. The president leading the New Patriotic Party, the former president, the National Democratic Congress. Now, that peace pledge that they committed to has not just a significance to us internally as Ghana, but also internationally. What the message is for it to reflect across the nation, so that at the end of the day, it's not just our leaders who were pledging themselves, but the pledge was for all of us. And all of us must conduct ourselves in such a way that we draw on that commitment and allow what my colleague panelists have just been saying to be predominant as we begin to count the votes. And the reason why that is important is everybody's looking at us to truly be a good example.
Okay.
And to that extent, I want to see the pledge translated now to all of us as a people, beyond just at the level of our leaders. And what that means is, if there is anybody thinking about doing anything to disrupt the counting, to introduce foreign material in a ballot box, you are not a true member of your party, because you are negating the commitment of your leader in committing to a pledge that was witnessed globally.
Right. Thank you very much, Emmanuel Bombande, with a final, bit of initial comments here. These are just the initial comments. So what this means is that when we return, we're going to analyze the whole process in depth. They'll be telling us the assessment of the whole process, starting from the beginning in the morning to, now that counting has begun. Some polling centers are still voting because, one, electoral materials didn't get there early. Two, the fact that people showed up before 5 p.m. And if you're in the queue before 5 p.m., according to our laws, you should be allowed to vote. So take it over, Evans Mensah, until you come back to us.
Thank you very much, Winston. We're going to come back for the analysis, but there's a lot happening across the country right now. As you imagine, polls have closed. And one of the places I want to take you is this particular place here in the Greater Accra region. This is the Adentan constituency. One of those key areas we are watching for you. Focus here. That's one of the areas I wanted to pay attention to this year that we'll be focusing on. Adenta, my former playground, is going to be key, and we are watching that very closely. What you see on the screen there is a parliamentary for the year of 2004, but this year is going to be a race between, of course, Barbia Samoa and, of course, the Mr. Ramadan, which we are watching very, very closely. I want to take you into that constituency right now because of its swing characteristics. In fact, it's even done sketch and blanc before in 2004 when Adenta came into play, carved out of Ashaiman constituency for the very first time. As you can see, Joseph Gakpo is primed and ready to walk us through everything that's going to happen from now to the elections and the results are declared. Joseph, nice to see you. I can see a lot of action in the backdrop. Tell me about it.
So, Evans, at the moment, I'm at the Adenta Barrier Police Station. Now, there are 3 different polling centers right here at this police station. The voting here ended a few minutes after 5 o'clock. The voting actually started on time here. So by the time it was after 5 p.m., a lot of the work had been done already. They are done with the sorting, the counting has begun, and the first votes have actually been tallied. In one of the 3 polling centers here, the results of the presidential are out. Of course, we are all clear in our minds that it doesn't represent what the results will look like eventually, because we're speaking of more than 130,000 votes that are being cast in this particular constituency. But from the results that have come in so far, this particular polling center, the results show that the NPP got 231 votes, while the NDC got 259 votes. I've just been corrected that it was actually 232 for the NPP and 259 for the NDC. The other polling centers, as far as the parliamentary and all the others, are actually still being counted. Earlier in the day, I had the opportunity to interact with the NDC's candidate for the area, Adamu Ramadan, who is very confident of victory. He's been referring how close the polls were in the previous election, with his contender beating him with just around a little over 50% of votes, while he got 45% plus, indicating that he thinks that this shows that's a very close seat that could flip. He'd been pointing to what he said had been intelligence that they had gathered, that some people may mar the processes going into the end of the polls and all. But he says he's asked his constituents to actually exercise restraint, and so all the necessary efforts will be made to ensure peace. So we're waiting to see how things go here as one of the very key areas. Any moment from now, once the counting is done, everyone will be gathering at the collation center for the various results to begin coming in. But from the indication I'm getting from across the constituency, in a lot of the areas, voting has actually ended. Earlier in the day, there were concerns about the biometric verification machine not functioning properly in the Adenta Fafraha area, but we understand it was eventually fixed and the voting resumed. And so for a lot of the places, the counting is actually underway, and the projection is that by 11 p.m., somewhere around then, we would know who the next MP for the area would be.
Joseph, I'm going to come back to you a lot because it's one of the areas that I'm fascinated by. This here is key. Let's go live now to Elton Broby, who is standing by with the NPP General Secretary, John Bodu, right now.
Service. Even before this election today, NDI reported that they are surprised about major election in our country, and everything seemed peaceful. And we've proven once again that our democracy is maturing and we are getting there. I think that by 12 hours, for us, our internal collation system is set that within 8 hours we'll get our results. But we'll still wait for the EC to declare the results. They've put in an elaborate system. This time they've legalized collation at the regional level. So at the national level, we'll only be looking at the summary of collated results from the region. They've also slated International Conference Center as a place for declaration of the results. I believe strongly that we've come of age and the country is maturing.
I remember 4 years ago, around 2:15 a.m., I was here, and you had collated over 85% of the votes from across the country, and you were in a position to declare that by any hitches, we were going to form the next government. Are we looking at similar trend this year?
This will be a far improved system that we put in place. We did a dry run, like a mock exams, and within 2 hours, about 60% of our polling stations had finished collating their results. This time, we are not only looking at the results, we are looking at getting pink sheets. So when we show you the result, we are showing you the pink sheet as well. Because we are a competent government, we are a competent political party, and we run this party, and government said that it will take a lot of years for our opponents to catch up.
And I don't know whether you've been in touch with President Akufo-Addo. How is he feeling as he awaits the verdict of the people?
We've asked him to relax. You see, we've asked him to relax. We, the New Patriotic Party, are in control. We are taking him to victory. So he's relaxing. And you've seen, he went to Chebi this morning to vote, and he was so impressed about the system. And I think that Jimensa and her team need to be commended by all.
So the NDC is only blowing hot air.
Oh, you realize that, if you listen to their campaign, they said that, they are coming to rescue Ghanaians. Now they did a press conference and they are asking Voltarians to rescue them. Somebody who is coming to rescue Ghana, you want to be rescued by 1 out of 16 regions. It clearly shows that, but I think it's good they participated, and they will continue to participate in our future elections. Yeah.
Thank you very much. We'll stay with you throughout the period.
Most welcome.
The rescuers need news.
Well, that's Elton Broby then. Elton is our presidential correspondent, and he is embedded with the president himself, who, as you just heard, has been put on ice, asked to relax, and that the NPP is going to win elections for him. We'll see. In the next few hours, it'll begin to become clearer as the picture emerges. Elton is also going to be embedded with the MPP's collation strong room, just to get a sense of what the picture is as it emerges for the MPP. But listen, talking about strong room, we have our own situation room here. And there's a lot coming in right now that is yet to get to me, right? And I want to go to the guys who are in charge of that. They get it first, before you get it, before we get it. And George and Gary are standing by in our situation room with some of these very interesting developing stories across the country that we want to tap into. The situation, we understand, is affecting counting and sorting in parts of the country. Hello, Gary, and hello, George. I know you've been waiting for polls to close. It has closed. There's a lot of activity in the situation room, I can imagine.
Yes, indeed, Evans. And there are 3 or 4 broad themes across the country. Obviously, as you know, the voting has ended at 5 p.m. We have a couple of places, like you have mentioned, where it's been extended because of different discrepancies. Secondly, weather is a big issue, particularly in the Ashanti and the Ahafo regions. However, if all of us had taken note of simple weather predictions or predictive information earlier, we might have known that this was expected, because a simple check on Google shows that we had been told that by 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. on Monday today, there was going to be rainfall. And so that's exactly what is panning out. Precipitation at 52%, humidity at 77% gives us an indication that obviously there was going to be rain. And from our situation room, we are told that places in the Ahafo region are having problems, like you heard Precious Semevo tell you there as well. Tents in some of the polling stations are being ripped off and away, so people are having to run for shelter. And then also we have people on social media also talking about the same thing, which is where George comes in.
Right, so let me take you through that, and just as Gary made the point, 77% humidity should just tell you that we're going to have some issues going into the night. And we have this from Becco Rich on Twitter. He's just tweeted, and he put out there, "It go rain for my hometown pair." And you can see that it's cloudy, absolutely cloudy, and it gives you an idea of what's going to be happening. So we've had a number of guys, react on Twitter from Kumasi. Yes, let's look at this one. He's actually taking a video of what's happening right now, and you can see the winds blowing. This is really, really tight, and I don't know how the Electoral Commission, all the polling agents are going to be dealing with this one, because it looks like counting will definitely have a problem there. That's another indication of what we've got. And this is a video that was sent to us. Yeah, this was I am Desmond. That's what he tweets at on Twitter, and he says, "Scary atmosphere as counting starts in my area." We're talking about the Kumasi. We're still in Kumasi. We're talking about the Kumasi area, which is critical. And later we'll have a proper look at what's happening as well in Suhum and in Sunyani as well. It's raining. Now this is another one, another tweet from at Kojo Favor. At the Kojo Favor, he tweets at the Kojo Favor. He says, "As it rains heavily," whoa, let me go back. Okay, "As it rains heavily, we are now at the mercy of the integrity of our polling agents and officials, election headquarters." So this is actually what we've got here, and why we're saying that, look, there might be issues there. We'll go shortly into what we saw in Asawase, but I'll tell you again that in the eastern region as well, Suhum, there are heavy rains there at the moment. They are disrupting voting because there are still some guys who have not voted yet, and it's raining at the moment. They're having issues there. I'll tell you again, Sunyani East, there's a strong wind that is blowing at the moment, and our reporter Precious Semevo has indicated that there are lots of issues right now in how to get the counting done, and we're keeping tabs on that. If you look at the map very, very well, you'd realize that the wind, the storm we're talking about, is blowing from Brekum, Sunyani, Suhum through Kumasi, and all the polling centers around those areas are going to have a lot of problems at the moment, and that's what we're just seeing in terms of the reaction that we have got. Gary, another thing that we saw, and we have had our reporters come in to tell us about the Asawase situation there, Gary. You want to go through that quickly, and then I give you the reactions that we've got in there, Gary.
Well, when the polls closed, Evans Mensah started our nationwide overview in Asawase, where we had seen Honorable Muntaka Mubarak say that even if there were a single case of voting discrepancies or whatever it is that happened, he was going to ensure that there was going to be an audit, and people have been reacting to that. First is this from John Terry Tresh, which is trending seriously on Twitter. He gave us the video of somebody who is in handcuffs. Apparently he's one of the guys. Remember, there were 2 cases in Asawasi, one of stuffing and one of previously thumbprinted ballot as well. This man, we understand, was in handcuffs, and we are not sure exactly where he is at the moment because this video was sent shortly before 5 o'clock. As you know, voting was halted there for about 30 minutes, and that's what we're told by our correspondents there. So there's more happening. Asawasi has also been trending this morning because, as you know, Muntaka Mubarak himself was in the news. He took his daughter, his 6-year-old daughter, apparently to thumbprint, and he said in later interviews that there was nothing wrong with it and that he was introducing her to the democratic process. We'll leave that to our colleague Samson Ladia Inini and the rest of the guys in Studio 997 to give us a legal overview as to whether it's legal or not. But
yeah, we'll get to Ayawaso shortly because we know that Ayawaso is trending right now on Twitter. We'll try to explain to you why they are trending. It's massive. They are leading the trends right now. But Gary, we have to go to Odododio. That's because we've had a report from our reporter on the ground telling us that that the police have had to come in and calm a lot there because 2 parties were having a go at each other. I was just trying to get this tweet for you that's not coming up, but you see that we're getting reactions already from Odododo. Now that's where we go. We have a picture right now indicating that the counting has started and all, but they have also confirmed with all that we have seen here that indeed what our reporter Kojomenu put out there was very right, and we're hoping that things will go fine.
Yes, so this is from the UK in Ghana. We did see the ambassador in studio, Ian Walker, about an hour ago talking about it, but this is a video from the observers from the UK saying that they are observing what is going on there. We'll go to Ernest Kojomenu, and we understand that there's more happening in Ayawaso as well. So Evans Mensah, we'll come to you and then you can come back to us here in the Situation Room, or we go to Manuel Granting.
Absolutely, Gary, stay with me. George, stay with me as well, because just as you touched on Ayawaso, there's live footage coming in for us here, and this is where we are talking about. This is the area we are focusing on here on the map. A very important place, of course, to focus on this year because of the permutations that we've seen over the years. We are talking about this area here, very, very important for us, and we are watching it unfold. Ayawaso West Wagon is the area. Let's go live now to my colleague Manuel Granting, who is standing by for us with the action, as you can see on our screens. Manuel, there's a lot happening there. Night is falling, and people are getting excited about counting.
Absolutely, Evans, you are so right. Well, balloting has ended here in the Ayawaso West Wogon constituency. It's instructive to note that, well, across some parts of the constituency, polls started quite late. We had some polling stations where you had delays of up to an hour, up to 2 hours, and so on. All of these were eventually, handled by the EC and, in dialogue with some of the polling agents who eventually agreed on the modalities to continue the polls. Essentially, what these polling stations which had the issues did not have so much numbers, which meant that if everybody even came, they were going to have finished their polls before the 5 p.m. deadline. But in your shots currently, it's visuals from the Pill Point polling center. And this particular polling center is where the main contender of the seats, I'm talking about John Seto Dumelo, voted. Well, he cast his ballot somewhere around 10 a.m. today. After he cast the ballot, and I sent that interview that we had with him, he made some scathing allegations as regarding what he called deliberate attempts from the quarters of not only the EC but also the incumbent member of parliament, Madam Lydia Seram Al-Hassan, to frustrate the voters within his strongholds. And this particular allegation is with regards to the delay in delivering the polling materials to some of the polling centers that I earlier mentioned. But Evans, Ayawaso West Wogon constituency is quite critical, and you know why. In the past cycles of elections, or the candidate who won on the University of Ghana's campus, which is properly construed as the Legon electoral area always went ahead to win the polls. This year, the University of Ghana campus and by extension the electoral area, Legon electoral area, has up to 20,000 registered voters, and this has the tendency of tipping the votes in favor of either of the sides. And the watchers have said that whoever, for instance, wins the University of Ghana's campus based on the historical, precedent and so on, then the person was going to go ahead to win the seat. But just like you can see in your shots now, the polls are being counted. About 748 people registered in this particular polling center.
If you could hear me, you make an important point about the Legon, the polling station at Legon, the University of Ghana, right? And about the 20,000 people who have registered to vote just on that campus. And I want to emphasize that because this year, the voter population has increased to 17 million. The Electoral Commission tell us that 2.6 million of those who registered to vote this year are first-time voters between the ages of 18 and 21. Now, that is a huge number, and it's my submission that they will decide the elections. And you're right, in Ayawaso West Wuogon, more than any other place, you will see that play out quite strongly in that particular part of the constituency and Greater Accra because of the huge numbers of young people, first-time voters, in the universities that populates this particular constituency. So University of Ghana is one, University of Professional Studies is one, there are a whole host of other tertiary institutions in there that will definitely make a difference in terms of who wins. And that is why you want to track, for example, how this new voter population, in fact, if you want to stretch it a bit further, 18 and 35, that bracket, more than 50% of the total registered voters this year. That is so critical. And that is why we are watching this area well and quite intently. Which of these two candidates will appeal to the this young population in this particular geographic area we are paying attention to here with University of Ghana and all those tertiary institutions at play. And so, of course, Manuel, this is key. And I know you have been interacting in that part of the constituency in University of Ghana. Are they themselves appreciating how much of an impact they will have on the outcome? The students, I mean.
Absolutely, Evans, you are correct. And you know, earlier in the morning when I reported from the Mensa Summer Hall, which really is the most populous polling center within the Legon electoral area. It has well over 1,000 registered voters. The Mensa Summer Hall. Well, as of 12 a.m., there were people who had lined up already, just anticipating that big moment when they go to the polls to cast their ballot. But it carried through the entire day up until polls eventually closed. And so they are upbeat really about their contribution to the polls. You saw a lot of them, and last night I reported some of them, traveling from far and near to come to the university's campus to be able to cast their ballots today. You remember that at the time that the EC held that all crucial registration exercise, COVID had struck, and the university, as it were, under the directives of His Excellency the President, had been closed down. But that could not stop the students, and by extension, a lot of the other people who make up that, humongous 20,000 people who had registered on the campus to do so. And so they have registered and they have come to cast their ballot. And as the counting goes on, we'll get to see the real turnout as the day went by. And I'll just go around and show you what is currently going on, maybe to give you a clearer picture of what the EC officials are currently doing. So they've already done the sorting of the ballot papers and currently counting the ballots. And I mentioned earlier, Evans, that this particular polling station is a polling station where you have the main contender for the seat, John Seto Dumelo, voted. And so it is crucial, and people would argue that the turnout and in fact the result from this particular polling station will give an indication of his performance across the the constituency. And so generally that's what you have, Evans, over here at the Ayawaso West Wogon constituency. I'll just try and speak to a few of the people who have come here to watch the ballots get counted and then get their reactions as to how they have come here. Well, good evening. Welcome to your election headquarters. Well, you're here. You voted here, I should believe. I didn't vote here, but I voted on campus. You voted on campus. Okay. You're a student in the University of Ghana. Okay, so you came all the way because we know that the university is closed. You came all the way to come and vote? Yeah, from Doon Corner Fame. From Doon Corner Fame. Absolutely, and Evans, this is just one of the examples that I was sharing with you earlier. People traveling from far and near to come cast their ballot. But you've been watching the exercise. Take me through what you have observed so far. So far, I would say so good. Yes, so far so good. 19, 20.
It's gone. The sound is gone.
And of course, that is the scene there at the Ayawaso West Wogon. One of the areas you're watching very closely for you, the races between John Dumelo, actor, entrepreneur of the NDC, and also the wife of the late Imam Jacko, there, Lydia, of course, her son in that particular constituency. This is going to be a keen race to watch because of the issues that surrounded that area last year when the by-elections came into play. On the back of the demise of Mr. Jacko, his wife succeeded him, won the primary, but he's facing a big election tonight. And as we see, that polling, that electoral area within the University of Ghana appears to decide things in that constituency. You win it, you win the parliamentary seat. So who wins it is what Manuel was telling you. Remember, our coverage of the elections is brought to you in association with Petrosol. Now, clean fuel in full quantity is always a delightful experience. Cowbell coffee, you need to taste it and love it. Macdan Shipping and Logistics Limited, also your total logistics partner. Pad Ever Limited, your home of modern furniture. DDP Outdoor Limited, serving great brands. Festival, adding flavors to your life. Now, what 3-year lotteries is a star 78 star hash, Ghana's premier and biggest jackpot lottery. Pay attention to that if you want to win something. HEPA Plus mixture is for your general well-being, and they made it possible for us to be all over the country and bring you this. You want to bring you now Maule Yevwagbi in Ho Central. To be more specific, he's on Zoom as night falls. Counting is beginning to be wrapped up, and we're expecting the ballots to be moved to the collation centers for final results are coming, so we can begin to populate our map here. Mauli, Ho Central, a safe constituency for the NDC. Are people excited? I'm pretty sure they're not expecting anything than an NDC win there. Okay, we don't have Mauli yet. We'll get back to Manuel Cranting back in Ayawaso West Wogon, because we want to stay there a bit. We'll bring in the Volta original picture very shortly. Manuel is back in Ayawaso West Wogon. He was having a conversation with some of the people who are keenly watching the process unfolds towards the declaration of the results. Manuel, take it away. Let's get a feel of the anticipating as it builds up to final results.
And Evans, you just missed a bit of euphoria right here when one of the candidates just drove past here. The place was thrown into a really jubilant mood. Just giving an indication of the polling station and then where they lean towards. But just a bit more on what this election means for the people here, and it's critical to note that, Evans, you've had a really fair representation in terms of gender the dynamics. We've had females represent the people of Ayawaso West. We've had an equal number of males also represent the people of Ayawaso West who were gone. And so, there's no, argument really at all when it comes to the gender. Both of them, I'm talking about John Dumelo and then Lydia Sarah Hassan, who's also the incumbent, have, equal shots at the seat in terms of the gender dynamics. We've known that the NDC has consistently, if you take 2016 out, apart from 2016, since the NDC lost the seat in 2000, it has consistently closed the gap and bettered its performance within the Ayawaso West Wogon constituency. But we know that the MPP, has kept the seat since 2000, but its performance has been fluctuating, unlike the NDC's, which has been generally, on the ascending level. If you take out the 2016 performance, a lot of people that I've been speaking to within the NDC caucus in the constituency tell me that, well, that performance of the party in 2016 really is not a performance that is indicative of the party's lot, but generally just a matter of the personality and so on of the candidates they presented, which didn't, make the cut for the people. But as it is currently, they are hopeful that having presented John Dumelo, they are going to sweep back the sort of love and affection that they seem to have been garnering over the years since 2000. Well, let me speak to this gentleman who is just, flashing the number 2 sign like that. My boss, good evening. Welcome to your election headquarters. Talk to me about your impression so far about the process.
Absolutely, I'm very happy with it. But anyway, we have a lot of lapses here, but it's normal. That is election. So we don't know.
Talk to me about a few of the lapses. You say a lot of lapses. Which one?
Actually, I was at the police station, and that's why I got it. A certain guy came there, his attitude. So we suspected him. You understand? Hence, even the election commissioner, even though they said they told that these are some of the things that really happened. You understand? So we don't really go there. But as for me, anyway, I'm a little bit impressed.
You're a little bit impressed, and I saw you flashing the number 2 sign. What does that mean?
Oh, NDC is party that is loved by all people. We don't discriminate against anybody.
Okay.
You understand? So I'm proud to be a member of this great party of birds. And I would like to enjoy our process.
Well, let me speak to this lady here. Good evening. You're also welcome to your election headquarters. I see you standing, and counting began about an hour and a half ago. You've been here all through.
Yeah.
What is the aim?
I'm really supporting Nana. Yeah, come off Nana. So I'm just waiting for them to declare that Nana win at this constituency.
Okay, but you know that this is the polling center of John Dumelo.
Yeah.
He has your offices around here, and so on, which indicates that perhaps he might, have a lot of affection.
For the parliamentary, I want Dumelo to win, but for the presidential, I'm supporting Nana.
For the presidential, you're supporting Nana, but parliamentary. Is there any reason for that?
Yeah, because as I was campaigning, I saw that he has a lot to do for this.
Okay.
So I just support. I want him to win.
Okay.
Yeah, I just support him. Yeah.
Great. So Evans, you just heard one of the people I'm speaking to over here. This is a proper skirt and blouse, indication that she is giving me. She wants the sitting president to win the presidential election, but when it comes to the parliamentary polls, she is expecting John Dumelo, who is on the other side of the aisle, to win the election. Well, just taking a few more reactions. My boss, a great evening to you. Thank you for agreeing to speak to me. What has been your impression so far?
I think generally we have done so well.
Okay, I want to come in here because obviously there are a lot of happening at play across the country. But this is a fascinating conversation that we just had there in Ayawaso West Wogon, and I pulled up our trends. This young lady is talking about voting for John Dumelo in the parliamentary race, but then vote for Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo in the presidential. This is in Ayawaso. If what he's saying is a representation of what might happen there, that's what you call skirt and blouse. Ayawaso West Wogon, it has a history of voting skirt and blouse, and we see that at play in that particular part of the constituency in the last few years. And then if you pay attention to what has happened there before, you see, for example, in this year, 2012, 2008, they did skirt and blouse. Voted in 2012 for NDC in the presidential, but voted for the MPP parliamentary candidate in the same year's elections. In 2008, same thing plays out. They vote for the NDC candidate in the presidential elections, but when it comes to the parliamentary, they give it to the MPP. And so it has a history of voting skirt and blouse in Ayawaso West Ogun, and not surprising that we had a young lady say she's going to do exactly that, and possibly already has done it already. And the counting will tell us whether another skirt and blouse about to emerge in Ayawaso West Ogun. Let me go to Seth Kwame Boateng, because windy and cloudy, of course, situation and circumstances in Nsawam affecting counting there. Inmates still want to remain and see to the counting. This is the Nsawam prisons, and yes, we are everywhere, even at the prisons. Seth Kwame Boateng is joining us live via Zoom right now. Seth, this must be pretty challenging for the electoral officers who have broken their back all day to ensure that these inmates in Nsawam prisons get to vote. But as you see there, I understand that the inmates themselves they want to wait for this to happen so they can see it all unfold. Tell us more.
Yeah, so what has helped the situation now is that it's raining, so they've managed to get them to go back to their cells. Initially it was a big challenge. It was very cloudy, windy. They wouldn't go. They want to witness, and that has been the situation here. Anytime there's voting, they want to be part of the counting process. I remember the last election, I stood here with them, and they were counting, they were following proceedings until everything was over. But today, because of the rain, they didn't have this opportunity. But the officers had a tough time getting them to go back. As you can see right now, the wind has come down and counting is underway. There are 3 different centers around. So each of the centers is counting their ballots now, their sheets now. And the next hour or so, I think we should be ready. But it's been a challenging time today for them, but they have managed to get them to go. I have with me here the PRO of the some prisons, of the some prisons, and he's going to talk to us. Yeah. So what's your full name?
Adamu Latif Abdul, that's my name, and I'm a deputy superintendent of prisons.
And it was really a challenging time today.
Yes, as you witnessed. Yeah, really a very challenging time because the inmates wanted to witness the counting. Yes. Yes.
And in the past, they stood behind this fence or the net here and watched proceedings. Now they are in their cells, and I'm wondering what the discussion is about now.
Yes, that was a disappointment for them, but we managed to get some of the inmates leaders, their leaders, to be here so that they can witness whatever is going on and then pass on the information to them.
Oh, so for the purpose of transparency, you have their leaders around witnessing.
Yes, we have some of their leaders around witnessing, so they will know that nothing fishy actually has gone on. Yes.
And I can see, do you also have some party agents around?
Yes, we have party representatives around, EC officials and other officials, election observers, etc., are all here with us, making sure that the process is transparent.
Thank you very much. So, as you heard with me here, the PRO for Nsawam Medium Security Prisons, and the officers are here, their numbers, they are waiting. Let me quickly take you through the numbers. In all, we are expecting about, 1,630 inmates had opportunity to cast their ballot. We heard in the morning that a little over 2,000 of them were on the ballot registered to cast their vote today. And the figures I have, maybe to be updated later, the figures I have, as at 5 p.m., about 1,630 of them had the opportunity. Have had the opportunity to vote for their people. I have the updated figure here. Now, the updated figure is 1,723. 1,723 inmates had opportunity. It represents 84%. The voter turnout is 84%. And that's the situation here, Evans.
Smart wall. Well, thank you very much. That's my colleague in the Nsawam prisons. And you could see, for those who are listening to us on radio, you could see in that shot just how windy it was. The trees were swaying. Oh, that's the picture there. Just watch it. I mean, you can see how the entire precinct and the polling station has been blown away with the, look at that. You see the chairs being dragged on the floor by the strong ghastly winds, the papers flying, the trees are swaying in the wind as well. Inmates standing, waiting. You see the precinct officers helping the electoral officers carry the ballot boxes to safety, which is what we've been reporting for you at Swan precincts. They've cast your ballots now. They just need to keep it safe from the rains and also ensure that it can be counted without the winds interfering. We're going to cross over now to Maoli Iwagbi in Ho, who's joining us via Zoom. Ho Central, to be very specific. Maoli, as I indicated earlier, this is a stronghold of the NDC, and I'm pretty sure as counting has begun, there'll be no surprise that people around you will still be expecting nothing to change. The status quo remains, with the NDC winning this later tonight, correct? Okay, we don't have Maoli yet. We'll cross over to Studio 997 now, where Winston is standing by, of course, as I said, with a crack team of experts, the best you can find in the business, joining us tonight. They'll be analyzing everything we've witnessed and making projections into the next hour and 2 and 3, where we expect this map to begin to fill up. And of course, watching presidential, this is our presidential map. It'll begin to fill up for you as the counting continues and results come. Parliamentary map will also begin to fill up for you as we begin to see the picture emerge across the country as the results come into play. Let's go right now to Winston Amwa with his panel of experts doing a lot of analysis and breaking out all the issues you've heard and witnessed here on your lecture headquarters. Winston.
Right, so thank you very much, Evans Mensah. Of course, we're joined here by Emmanuel Bombani, who is a UN Senior Mediation Officer, and also Professor Bafo Ajimendia, who is a former UN Senior Governance Advisor, and Dr. Emmanuel de Graaf Johnson Owusu-Ansah is also with us. He is a mathematician and a statistician and a senior lecturer at the Department of Statistics and Natural Science of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. So, we have you covered because, with Dr. de Graaf Johnson Owusu-Ansah, he'll be dealing with the figures. Professor Bafo Ajimendia and Emmanuel Bombani will be dealing with the governance issues. So we're looking at how the process has gone so far. Now, we've seen in some constituencies, they're still voting. There's been one or two issues, particularly in the Asawase constituency. We'll get to all those areas this evening here on your election headquarters. But election coverage is brought to us in association with Petrosol. Now, Petrosol, clean fuel in full quantity is always a delightful experience. Cowbell Coffee, taste it, love it. And McDunn Shipping and Logistics Limited, your total logistics partner. Pat Eva Limited, your home of modern furniture. And DPP Outdoor Limited, 7 great brands. Festiva, adding flavors to your life. And with 3-year lotteries now, all you have to do, dial *787#, and it's Ghana's premier and biggest jackpot lottery, and HEPA-Plax mixture for your general well-being. But let me tell you a few things about the MTN, because imagine having a soundtrack that simply reflects your mood every day of the week. Now imagine getting money every week just because of that song. Isn't that amazing? Well, very amazing. But thanks to MTN, now you can win up to 1,000 Ghana cedis weekly, 4,000 cedis monthly, and the grand prize of 15,000 Ghana cedis with the MTN Caller Ring Back Tone promo. Just download your favorite song via any MTN Caller Tunes channel, copy a caller tune or renew your existing caller tune, and win big because we're good together. Send START, that's START, or dial to 1355 or dial *1355# to subscribe today. Terms and conditions apply. We're there for you everywhere you go. But let's get into the conversation. Let's get into the analysis. And I'm starting off with you, Dr. de Graaf Johnson, because you are a lecturer of Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. You know Asawase very well. News. But you have a situation of alleged vote stuffing. The member of parliament is saying if there is a single overvoting or one vote which cannot be accounted for, they would call for a total recount or reject the whole, results. Why is Asawase important? Evans has already done, the figures. Let's look at, from your own analysis, why Asawase is very key and why all these dynamics in this year's election.
Okay, Winston, we all know that Kumasi is the stronghold for MPP. If you take the whole Ashanti region, you still have to concentrate majority of the population in Kumasi. Asawase constituency is one of the hearts of Kumasi. It is right there, just adjacent to the Utumfo Palace, all the way down there to Boabai, down there to all the other areas, to the airport, close by. So it is a center of Kumasi, but a stronghold, or has become a stronghold of the opposition for years. And as we've seen over the years, the NPP as a political party would like to control entire Kumasi, but you still have a very chunk area which is densely populated. Therefore, expect that this kind of power play will be at place anytime the elections at stake. Asawase itself, we do also have a lot of our people from the northern sector of Ghana being concentrated in Asawase.
This is why Amacares, an organisation that advocates against child sexual abuse, is here to assist the vulnerable amongst us. We have lined up an exciting and educative programmes that can be of help to you. Please check out our website on www.amacares.org for updates of programme. Enjoy a live chat with our team members for advice. Our online counsellors are also available to advise you and signpost. During the time of lockdown, we recognise that young people among us could be vulnerable and subject to abuse. This is why Amacares, an organisation that advocates against child sexual abuse, is here to assist the vulnerable amongst us. We have lined up an exciting and educative programmes that can be of help to you. Please check out our website on www.amacares.org for updates of programme. Enjoy a live chat with our team members for advice. Our online counsellors are also available to advise you and signpost you to the right governmental departments. You can reach us on 033 01 33 2415 or email us at info@amacares.org. Confidentiality is key. Thank you.
Even though they've done a lot,
listen to Reverend David Peterson.
And close contest as the day goes by. If they take it,
your
that
friends
will be news.
can leave you.
If they don't take
your
it, that will
family
also
can
be
leave
news.
you. Your next door neighbor will talk
Well, it's
about
always been held by the NDC. So if NDP takes it, that should be
This and every Wednesday
if you look
from
at it
7:30
statistically, the
p.m.
difference
on the
keep on
Led by the
decreasing
Spirit
as the years
program
goes by.
on Starr
Because the
Radio
margin that
UK.
Honorable Muntaka has won way back in the early
Tune in to
2000
On
up till
Point
now, it
here
keeps
on Starr
decreasing.
Radio UK
So, and
with
then also,
Empress
as I've explained,
Regina
when
every
Muntaka
Monday
was there,
at 5
areas like
p.m.
Boabai were
GMT. Looking forward to your
there was
company.
no one
Getting
there.
onto
Now
the
all of them
property
has been
ladder has
developed
never
into,
been easy
towns
until
or
now. Join
new
us this and
areas
every
which has been
Thursday from
spreading
7
all
p.m. to
over that
8:30
place.
p.m.
So
live on
that
the
is
Property
actually also
Hour
what
show
helped them
on Starr
to
Radio
get the
UK,
status
where
of
we talk to
becoming,
mortgage brokers, property
municipal
developers,
assembly.
estate agents,
Right. So
landlord,
it
tenant,
has
property
been
consultants on how to
diversified in terms of
invest or
settlement
get into the
as the
property
time goes on.
business and make money.
So
You
when
can't
they
afford
take
to
it,
miss
it's not
this.
news.
The
When they
Property
keep it, it's
Hour
not news.
show
We'll look
is
at the
best
figures shortly of
source
Asawase.
into the
I mean, we'll
property
do that analysis. I mean,
industry.
it's not always here. We'll just get into it shortly.
9,
All the analysis and find out why Asawase is very, very important.
7,
in this year's election. But let me get
6,
to you, Mr. Bombani. Now,
5,
you've been monitoring the situation.
4,
We'll get to the other parts of the country.
3,
But let's start from
2,
Shanti region, Asawase to be precise.
1.
Lots of issues, lots of controversy. We've talked about how the exercise has been, but we must say that the Asawase situation seems to be one of the lows of this exercise, isn't it?
Yes, and if you take it from the description of Dr. Graf, I want to look at it this way. Elections are the means through which we negotiate our political differences. Now, the more you have a situation such as Asawase with a high population density, the more contestation will be elevated. And to that extent, therefore, it should not be surprising that candidates will put in all their best, knowing that there are large numbers and hoping that they can sway the votes towards an eventual outcome that will favor them. The challenge, however, is that we are caught in that situation to the extent that the fairness of the process sometimes seems to slip away. And that is why I always say the more the process is transparent, the more it's credible. The more it's credible, the more it's peaceful. So what is at play now is, how can we ensure that in Asawasi, the respect for the rule of the game is so respected by all contestants so that the outcome will not be in dispute. And if I talk about negotiating our political differences, it's basically to suggest that when one side feels that the other side is trying to introduce an unfairness, legitimately they are going to raise issues. And that's what we do not want. Like it comes along, and people have to realize that there is only one way. It is the will of the people. And the will of the people, in terms of being a sovereign will, must be so respected.
Go to the polling station and give them.
Are you ready to turn it up? Are you ready to turn it up?
And give them a bloody no.
Right, time check from our studio is exactly 15 minutes past the hour 6. And welcome back from that extensive coverage of Ghana elections. I can tell you it's just about starting. At exactly 7 o'clock, we're going to be switching over and going for the D show, the Diva show, which will take us up to 8:30. And at exactly 8:30, I've got my panelists. My panelists will be joining us, where we hope by then a lot of results would have come in. The MPP will be in-house. The NDC will be in-house. I got some independent minds also who are coming on our way. And then we'll look at the results as they come in. And we'll find out exactly what the future holds for Ghana. The music at the background is coming from Zungu Man. He said, use the ballot box and give them a bloody nose.
To care for she. Vote for people who care for you. Use the ballot box. Use the ballot box. Use your vote. Go to the polling station and give them a bloody nose. Go to the polling station and give them a bloody nose. Use the ballot box. Use the ballot box. Use your vote.
For those of you who are on Facebook, who are on YouTube, Periscope, and Twitter, we're going to be going off briefly. We'll return in 1 minute. Channels are going to go blank in a few minutes. And we'll be back. And when we return, Tracy will be here with her guests on the Diva show. And that'll take us to 8:30. We'll cross over to Ghana. Right, for those of you on the dial, on tuning, on app, enjoy this music. I'll be right back.